which corner we put the box in? The top left?
I think we go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But no, so yeah, we were just talking about Spider-Man, and the footage in the trailer.
Doc Ock in the movie.
In Doc Ock, yeah. So like, so there's that shot though, where in the trailer.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I noticed
like
that the first time we talked about the trailer, but
I am fairly certain that the nanites from the
costume.
I think it's the nanites from the Iron Spider suit getting onto the tentacles and like
I've heard that
making them stronger. And I think a possibility is perhaps putting that AI in check. So perhaps it's not actually mind controlling him anymore.
That's what I was thinking, because he did seem like a little more. I mean, when he first shows up, he is a bit more of that malevolent, like "Hello, Peter."
But when he's in the
yeah, he's talking like normal.
Yeah, he just seems a little bit more normal.
Yeah.
So I genuinely think the nanites from the Iron Spider suit are going to kind of get onto the tentacles and like keep the AI from overriding his brain.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And that way he can be that. I did
figure he was gonna kind of be a little heroic Doc Ock, and at some point in the movie, and kind of helping them against, I guess, the rest of the Sinister Six. Although, if they're gonna do the Sinister Six, which they're pretty much doing in this movie,
it does seem like they're stopping at 5 from what I understand, though, which is interesting.
They have had it. They have had times where it's the Sinister Six, but they've only had 5 members, or stuff like that in the '60s comics and whatnot. But I would like a moment, if they're basically doing that, of Doc Ock and all the other villains kind of fighting at once. Yeah. I would like to see that.
I would too.
Which they did do that pretty well in that video, in the video game from.
Oh yeah, they were curb stomping him.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally got in a circle and were just kicking him in the face.
To me, that's the spirit of the Sinister Six. Even though in the '60s comics it wasn't always that. They were like, let's be sportsmen about it, be sporting about it, and it was just like.
By the way,
that's awesome.
It's my Green Lantern Christmas sweater.
Christmas sweater. Oh, that's badass.
Right?
Oh, that'll go well with the red Mordor sweater.
Yep. Yeah, from the same website.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's cool. But in my mind, the whole point of the Sinister Six would be to gang up on Spider-Man.
Right, no, 100%.
And, like other villain teams are a bit more of that cerebral, let's plan out a world domination plot or whatever. The Sinister Six
villains, maybe.
Yeah, the Sinister Six is always like, let's get together and fuck up this one guy. That's like their whole mission.
Right.
So, if they're basically going for the Sinister Six in this movie, and they don't even get that feeling across, it's like, well,
that'll be the biggest.
I'll be like, Sony, you failed at that,
Granted, I suppose that we'll see how hard are they really going for the Sinister Six once we actually is that really what they're doing, or are they?
Well, I have to imagine, like, especially, I mean, with 3 Spider-Men and 6 villains, or however many villains, I figure the point of it is to have kind of like a team versus team sort of fight.
Yeah, no, I think
at some point, probably the climax of the movie or whatever.
Well, it's interesting because as much as you see all of him being chased by Doc Ock on that bridge, that bridge also had that shot of Willem Dafoe in the full with the helmet and everything coming out of the smoke. That's also on that bridge.
Yes,
so that seems like maybe just the first act that they're all going to show up and go after him, but he won't have backup that time.
Right, at least Doc Ock and Green. Although to be fair, Green Goblin never met Doc Ock in those movies, so he would never actually have had an idea of who that was. Well, he probably had an idea of who Otto Octavius was.
Yeah, just within the world. I would be surprised if he didn't know this relatively famous scientist. I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's also an interesting thing. I don't know if you've ever seen it's just like a little deleted scene. Not even a deleted scene, really.
Where J. Jonah Jameson dresses up in the Spider-Man costume.
No. It was Alfred Molina's, like, I want to say it was his first day putting the tentacles on, like the prosthetic tentacles on, and they were filming the scene where he's like, around the experiment, right, in the first act of the movie, right before shit goes wrong and he becomes Doc Ock. And Alfred Molina, it's like a video of he's like coming on set, and it's like Sam Raimi's like, I want to introduce you to somebody real quick, and he brings him over, and they're like basically having Willem Dafoe play Otto Octavius with the prosthetic tentacles on, and he's like enacting the whole scene out. And that was like the first time that Alfred Molina like got on set and like saw the tentacles. Willem Dafoe using them.
That cock. Stealing his props. So, it's interesting how this movie is going to work out. Like, from the trailers thus far in the story we've all pieced together, it seems like, to me, you get the sense from the trailers that the movie is going to be like these villains popping up, and in a way it almost makes more sense for them to pop up kind of one at a time, and maybe they aren't even super that aware of each other, and it's just like basically like
I think they do all show up on that bridge at the beginning.
They probably will.
I think it's just that Doc Ock is the only one they managed to incapacitate because of the way that maybe the nanites interfere with the AI on the tentacles.
Yeah, for sure.
I think here's the interesting thing, right? There's also the bit where Spider-Man is like he steals that box from Doctor Strange in the trailer.
Yes.
I think that is like a little prison. Almost. That they've like put all the villains into, and that because Peter's like, they're all going to be like die if we send them back. We're murdering them essentially if we send them back to where they are.
And he's going to kind of trap them in this box.
Well, I think Doctor Strange is doing that,
and
he's going to use that box to send them back. Like he puts them in this like a prison box, like almost like a Hellraiser type thing, and he's going to use that to send them back to their own universes. Which then Tom Holland's Spider-Man is so unokay with killing people, especially after Mysterio, that he is like tries to steal the box because he's like, no, I'm not going to let you send them back because I'm not okay with killing anyone, period.
Right.
I think that's what it's going to be. And so that's why there seems to be like a chase sequence between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Right. I do think that's cool.
So like Doctor Strange is just going to be like, I have fucking had it with this goddamn kid immediately in the movie.
I am glad Doctor Strange is playing a more pivotal part in the MCU proper, because so far he's had kind of a small role within it. I mean, yes, in Infinity War and Endgame.
The only reason he wasn't in WandaVision was because of COVID.
Sure.
I do think he was actually totally supposed to be in it.
Right. And but yeah, Doctor Strange is just such a huge part of the comics.
To be fair, even in the comics, he does kind of do that thing though, where he's like, "This isn't a big enough problem. Leave me alone."
Yes. No, he's totally always like on the periphery. He's always kind of on the side of things.
But you see him. But he has these small appearances.
Yes. Anytime a hero needs something like Spider-Man, they do go to him and consult him, or request that he does this thing for them. I mean. That is somewhat true to it makes you wonder why the Spider-Man in the comics and why Dan Slott, I can't remember if that was J. Michael Straczynski still at that point or Dan Slott, but I think it was Dan Slott who at that point, why he didn't just have Peter go to Doctor Strange instead of to Mephisto.
Yeah, honestly, it makes more sense the way they're doing it in the movie.
Yeah. Well, because everybody hates the Mephisto time rewrite there, but which so they do already kind of have a better idea there. And
did you notice that Jamie Foxx totally also has like a Stark arc reactor on his chest?
Oh, is that what it was?
I think I think that's part of why his costume looks all different, is because he's got I think they're all going to be around, and they're going to. I'm thinking maybe they steal a bunch of like Stark tech or something.
Goddamn, Stark still causing fucking problems.
To be fair, that's them robbing the defunct company, not something that he is directly responsible for.
But it's just like he should have had something in his will or written something.
To be fair, isn't it Pepper's fault then? Since she's in charge.
But
now.
Tony, knowing how much his shit fucks up the world,
Tony Armor Wars is going to be all about, really.
What Armor Wars? That's what I'm saying. Tony should have had a self-destruct thing, and all of his technology basically.
Just get rid of everything.
Yeah, just like.
Well, the thing is, Armor Wars is that it's kind of taking the idea that, like, in Iron Man 2, when he's like, they can't replicate my technology successfully, it's going to take him 15 years before they can do that.
Which is funny because now, like, everybody's replicating the super soldier serum. I mean, not everybody, but you know what I mean. That guy, and now so many people have access to this thing that for a long time, and in the comics, pretty much all the
Hulk
time.
Was a failed version of it, right? So,
that was more in the Ultimate comics that they did. In the movies, in the movies, that's right. But exactly, a failed version. So it's like that had been that usually is harder to replicate in the comics and traditionally than even like Tony Stark's technology.
Right. Well, here's what I'm thinking. Willem Dafoe is going after Marissa Tomei, and because she's with Happy, a Stark security base is the place he thinks to bring her to keep her safe. And that's why the villains end up getting their hands on some Stark tech, because they go to kill Peter's family or whoever they can find, and that happens to be where they're hiding anyway because it's Happy. That's my guess as to why any Stark stuff like that gets involved. That's my guess.
I still want the only tragic death in the movie to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
But would it be tragic or cheerful?
It'd be funny.
It'd be hilarious.
But
I mean, to be fair, with the better not
script.
Sony's garbage script, he might be all right.
No, that's true. But
I just hope that they say he's 35.
I mean,
that's my thing. I just want 35. I just want them to be like, this is a 35-year-old Spider-Man.
It'd be funny if he showed up to like Tom Holland when he's just dressed up as like Peter Parker or whatever, and Peter Parker's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm another Spider-Man. I'm just like 18, just like you," or whatever.
Like, no, you're not.
Shut the fuck up.
It would be kind of funny if he was like, "You're not 18. In what universe does he look like an 18-year-old?"
And things you've heard that rumor too already, that when MJ is falling, that it's probably Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man that might catch her, which, to be fair, is the only real dramatic beat I could imagine having any resonance for his Spider-Man, because him failing to catch, all the other Spider-Mans are on their shit. They actually catch and save people, but Andrew Garfield's just, he's Andrew Garfield, so he can't do it. That kind of stuff. He can't do superhero stuff,
Well, I mean, or do they kill the Michelle character? Because Gwen Stacy is the high school girlfriend. This is the end of the high school trilogy, which at least, right? Like, for sure, if it's not the end of the Spider-Man in the MCU, it's at least the end of him being in high school, I think. Which they could, if they did kill her, they could then introduce, your actual redhead supermodel Mary Jane Watson.
I don't think they're going that route. Not with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Well, plus it'd be kind of weird within the context of these films, the fact that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still so young, and we don't really get this sense of him aging that much in these movies. And the Mary Jane, I just always think of as that older girlfriend that Peter Parker has.
Now that we're done with the high school trilogy, if we get more movies after this, he's going to be him as a college student, which in the comics is when he went on, May sets him up on the blind date, when he's in college. So I'm just thinking, if we're getting him in college, like in future movies, then and we are going to get him being older, then maybe that's set up to some degree for that to be a possibility.
Right. Like, it wouldn't be that much of an age difference, obviously, but it is just a thing about Tom Holland's Peter Parker in all these movies, is that I have my sense of his Peter Parker is that, like, he's like always either like he's always like 16 or 18. He's just always positioned as that, although I've heard that there's supposed to be that there will be 3 more movies with him.
Yeah, just like
Spider-Man.
yesterday. Yeah, that they're working on like another. Well, see, that's the thing is I kind of want that though.
To
like,
do the college.
Yeah, I'd like to
arc.
see. We did a trilogy of him in high school. Now let's let him.
Although not really, we did 1 movie of him in high school. Is what I think it really ended up being.
You wouldn't count Far From Home at all.
No, because well, to me that's a different aspect of school. That's the whole.
But it still is him as in that living that life of a teenager. I think it's still got the John Hughes. It's a John Hughes. It feels like a summer vacation movie to me.
To me, that was also more of a college experience, like the way they executed that in Far From Home. I saw it as. I mean, again, I know it's like you're like it's like adding the
depends on your,
the really small ones and zeros. It's like
well, that's the thing though is like there are a lot of people that go on trips like that in college. But it depends on what school you're going to. Like my sister did that.
It's true.
Kind of
for sure.
European trip in her high school.
It's more often in college that students study abroad.
It depends on
high schools cannot afford to.
They were really studying though. It was like a short vacation. That's
another thing. It had nothing to do with school, and that's
always what that kind of shit is. That's always what those kinds of trips are. They take you if you do get to go on that kind of trip in high school. They have you do the lamest stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like the way the teacher kept. I mean, I know it was used for comedic effect, but like that is true that they'll sign you up to do like the least interesting things when you're over there, and you'll only be there for like a week, and then you go home and you didn't get to do any of the fun stuff. So I feel like that's pretty true to a high school abroad trip.
Again, it's something that does happen more often. I'm not saying you're right. It does happen in high, and plus he did go to like either a fancier or like a tech. Focused something like that high school, right? In Civil War, they say that he went to some high school where that it was more for brainier kids. I think they said that.
Yeah, at least the classes he was in, if nothing else. Because I mean, the thing is, he's also wealthy enough to go on these trips because of the Stark connection. So of course he's going to go on a trip like that in high school and not college.
And that's another thing that's so un-Spider-Man to me, like we talked about last time. That this access to wealth.
Yeah,
it is just so like even if you're considering this part of his school years or whatever, he's not struggling with it in the way that I'm used to Spider-Man in high school or college or whatever phase of his life struggling with.
See, that's another thing I think is potentially interesting about this movie, because I think if you're doing this kind of multiverse reset at the end of this movie, you know, they deal with the multiverse villains, they manage to send them back, but the spell ultimately works, and he is alone, and no one knows his identity. He can't get money from Pepper Potts anymore, because to her she
that would be better.
Just a random
I would
school.
like that.
And it's almost a reset as he goes into college.
And it's something...
Right?
That's true. And something I would like about it is, I mean, you're right. They're not going to spend another 3 movies in high school. I would want that just as basically as a because I think Homecoming is a really good movie.
Well, we're also getting that animated series. That is his freshman year. You saw that, right? That's one of the Disney Plus things. Is
that what it is? Okay.
It's Spider-Man freshman year. So it's an animated series.
Animated. Okay.
That is.
Because I did see the little title card, but I didn't. I thought maybe they had Tom Holland in it or something.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I hope he is. I hope he does the voice at least.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess I hope he does the voice, if nothing else. But yeah, no, it's going to be his actual origin, all like in his early, like all that 6 month period of his career.
Well, okay, that could kind of smooth things over for me.
It's essentially going back and filling in all the origin gap that Civil War left.
That would be cool. I still think a cool piece of this Far From Home movie, or No Way Home movie, would be cool if when he finally meets Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as Peter Parker, if that is on his Earth what his Uncle Ben looked like. And so basically, he gets to reunite with his own. Like when he sees him for the first time, he unmasks. He's like Uncle Ben, and he's like, "No, my name. I'm Peter. I'm Peter." And so it is almost a strange father-son kind of dynamic relationship.
Yeah.
And so when Peter tells him, "With great power comes great responsibility," it's not just the OG Spider-Man telling him that. It's basically Uncle Ben.
It's also how
we get that moment, backdoor moment in these movies.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I like that. I do like that.
And then...
well, here's the thing, too.
Yeah.
They keep talking about how much darker... They keep talking about how this movie's actually going to be a lot, like, really dark, too. Like that. It's
I'm curious about that, yeah.
Maybe like Infinity War, almost, where it's like, it is kind of funny in its first half. It is a little more what you maybe expect from an MCU movie. But from what I've heard from a lot of the cast is as it shifts into the second half of the movie, it is going to get to be one of the darker, more like Endgame or Infinity War, like that kind of movie.
Interesting. Well, that implies a death.
Somebody's dying.
Yeah.
And I feel like how many of these movies does Jon Favreau want to be in?
I know, but it is like what Martin said in that double toasted video of theirs. It's like how much. I'm not saying they can't make people.
Willem Dafoe murders Aunt May and Happy while they're hiding in the Stark building. He kills both of them to get like
that would be a Norman Osborn move, for sure. I mean, yes,
Because I think you might care about Happy a little more if they like died together, maybe.
Yeah, I mean something about this Peter Parker, about Tom Holland's Peter Parker, is I do want to see him put through the ringer a little bit, because he's not really Spider-Man if he's not put through the ringer,
right.
You know, and. Yeah, we got a little bit of that in Homecoming. I think
Far From Home set that up for him to go through the ringer with the way it ended really well.
Right.
He didn't in the movie itself.
I guess that's my biggest problem with Far From Home is like if that movie is just all set up. You know, that's why Far From Home did not resonate with me as like my favorite Spider-Man movie by any means.
No, I still think it's a fun movie, but I don't think it's. I definitely don't think it's. I mean.
Like you said, it's this little excursion of like to me from the main Spider-Man stuff that I cared about, from what I really cared about in Homecoming.
No, I don't disagree with that,
right.
But I do think that again, it's a thing where like I think there is some. I mean, again, and not that is not that this. The point I'm going to make does not mean
they did try to make
true.
Far From Home this like epilogue to Endgame.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's almost like having Ant-Man and the Wasp in between Infinity War and Endgame, where it's like this thing to kind of go. All right, we did the big thing. We're going to come down a little bit with this one before we go back up again.
And I'm not going to lie, probably not a majority opinion, but Ant-Man and the Wasp I find more interesting than Far From Home. I like it. I personally enjoy Ant-Man Wasp more than I know a lot of people don't like Ant-Man Wasp for some reason. To me, I like it a little better in some ways, in some aspects, than the first movie. One, just because I think there's some cool stuff. I think
people just wanted to know what was going to happen after Infinity War, and were mad that they had to wait.
Right.
I think that was mostly.
No, I liked it because they actually kept it an Ant-Man movie. They actually focused on this character and their ongoing plots from the first movie. To me, Far From Home felt like such a departure from what Homecoming was to me, what was really good about Homecoming to me, that I'm like, this just isn't super jiving with me.
It was an epilogue to Endgame, not a sequel to Homecoming.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me maybe as much, but I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
Well, and then I've watched, I saw Eternals and watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
Okay, skip ahead to 30 seconds if you don't want to hear anything about potential Hawkeye, anything.
Personally, I don't. Okay.
Give a couple seconds. All right. Vincent D'Onofrio is supposedly going to be in episode 4.
Episode 4? Okay.
Supposedly episode 4 is when he shows up. That may not be true. We don't know for a fact yet. But considering the other things that we have recently found out to be true, like the leaks from No Way Home with Charlie Cox, I feel like it's probably likely that Vincent D'Onofrio is
It's a smart way to tie that into, especially since Hawkeye and the comic Hawkeye usually deals more with not lower crime, but you know what I mean.
That's what I like about the Hawkeye show so far is that it actually does feel street level in a way that the MCU really doesn't get to very often.
Yeah,
like if Eternals felt exhausting because of the being too cosmic for after so many other cosmic things, I think Hawkeye is actually a really good thing to go, all right, like, well, thank God I have this instead, because
oh god,
it feels like Hawkeye feels down to earth. It really does.
Like, I will talk about some Eternal stuff, but really, there's not much. Personally, to me, there's not much to spoil in Eternals, and I mean, besides that, I don't think there's really.
It doesn't have a lot of big consequences, except for the
Star Fox stuff at the end, or
there's that. But I was gonna say the Avengers having their next headquarters.
Did they say that in Eternals?
Well, they didn't bring it up, but in the comics, one of the many Avengers bases they've had over the years is the hollowed out head of a Celestial on Earth. That's called Avengers Mountain. So I'm pretty sure that's why they did that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like probably the big purpose. I mean, I don't know. Right. Maybe. I mean, I guess that would be a little lame if that was the only thing that had consequence. But I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, right. It would be.
I'm confident that will be a thing.
But otherwise, we're pretty much done talking about. And also in the 2 episodes of Hawkeye, I don't really think there's anything to spoil in those.
Not really. No, nothing really that big. Although I can tell you, I have a theory.
Okay.
I was convinced in the first 5 minutes that when neither of the pair at the beginning when it shows the
that part was weird to me.
The mother was clearly murdering the father and making sure it looked like he died in the destruction so that she would get all of his money.
Okay.
I feel like that's absolutely what happened, right? She murdered. Yeah. She killed the dad. She totally killed her dad.
I remember them. They did something like that with.
Like, okay, well that's
Kate Bishop's parents in the comics.
Her mom is, I'm pretty sure, a villain in the comics too. I don't know. I don't think she killed her dad in the comics though, so that would be different. Yeah. But I just feel like the way she disappeared and was like. Couldn't find either of them for so long, and then the way she runs in and picks her up and is just like, okay, we're getting out of here. Right. Like, oh, what were you?
What kind of shitty parents were not there during an alien invasion for the child?
One that was murdering the other one.
Yeah, but even that, like, I mean, I'm sure that is what it's gonna reveal.
It's 100%.
Yeah, they'll flash back to it and they'll show it, but.
Even if they don't show
it. Or what,
I just don't see any way that that's not what it is.
At the same time, being in that situation, it's like, once the Earth starts rumbling and fucking aliens are pouring through your ceiling, wouldn't you be like, okay, this maybe isn't the time? I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think it is a good time if you are like, I'm never going to get caught. I will never be caught for this murder.
Well, for that, though, how many people are going to have the cognizance to immediately assess that this is an alien invasion?
Unless she was already planning on doing it and was like, oh, great cover happened to come up. Well, I'm already in the middle of it.
But
I'm thinking she was already doing it, and then it started happening, and she was like, all right, well, here's a good alibi.
I mean, I'm guessing she's like a more maniacal kind of personality secretly, but like a real person that a spouse that is like really premeditating for probably a while on killing their significant other, because that really, even though they might say they hate this person and they might say it takes so much willpower and so much talking yourself into doing it that
it depends on what kind of person you are. Unless it's do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For a regular person, it's either a crime of passion where it just happens instantly, suddenly in the moment, like you had a fight or argument, and then it happens.
Right.
Or if you really so hate this significant other that you are actually plotting their death. Like you plan, like, either I'm gonna stab him with just one day,
maybe she had a really good cover that she did set up, but then it ended up being unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, like, in real life, to me, that would, besides the fact that there's an alien invasion happening, it would...
I mean, I feel like
it would seem highly unlikely to me that a regular person's going to think, oh, an alien invasion's happening, now's my perfect chance to...
Well, I mean, I don't think she's a totally regular person.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think she's like more of a secretly a maniacal kind of person, whatever.
Right.
But, but I'll start talking about Hawkeye because to me there's more to like in Hawkeye than there was in Eternals for me personally. I'm really digging these first 2 episodes so far. I think this has potential for me to be...
I think the very end of the second episode is maybe the one maybe spoiler. What the kind of the way they introduce Echo.
Echo, yeah.
Maybe is a little bit of a like I'm not. I mean, yeah.
But
we all knew she was going to be in the show.
People watching it, you know, who don't read the comic, yeah, they're not going to know who she is. Yeah. So I think by the end of the show, if it's keeping along its current trajectory and it's
just going to be about getting home.
And it gets even a little better than this as it goes along. If it does all that,
which is funny because it's actually the lowest rated out of all their shows still right now.
I heard that's disappointing to me because, like, to me, if it keeps up its current quality by the end of these 6 episodes, right?
Sure.
7.
Yeah, 6. Yep, 6.
It will be better to me than Loki was overall. Like, if it keeps up this current pace. Maybe not overall better than Captain America or the Winter Soldier or WandaVision, whatever. But yes, but to me it will be a little because, and I think they are honestly doing Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye justice.
Like finally.
Yes, at least in a characterization sense, because it's hard to get a handle on him in the movies. You know,
well, I liked how he's really they're focusing on how uncomfortable with the tension he is, because that retroactively kind of makes it be like, well, that's why he was so, little, maybe the least characterized in other films. Well, it's a retroactive thing, so it doesn't necessarily fix that problem in other movies, but it is still saying, hey, this is why he is the way he is.
To me, the aspects they're capturing the best about the modern comic book Hawkeye, the one that people would be familiar with from Matt Fraction's comic, is that they are nailing those little grounded human moments. Like you said, he is the most down-to-earth superhero. And he is just like a guy. He does not care, like you say, for the spotlight at all. No. And he's just like those great little human moments where he's just so good with people, like with the guy at the Ren Fair, the LARPing event. Oh, and he's like, yeah, you can call me Clint. And he's like, yeah, you have a good day, Grills. Like, he's just talking like a normal guy. And that's what he considers himself to other. And he likes to get to know, like that guy. I got the sense that in that, basically first scene of the first episode where the guy asks him for the autograph in the bathroom, and he's like, yeah, it's not really an appropriate time, which I would say if I was pissing out a stall, I'd be like,
I know,
I'd be like, motherfucker, do not talk to somebody while they're peeing in a stall, alright? That's the least, man-like thing you're going to talk
There is a rule.
Exactly.
You at least, if there are empty ones, you leave one in
at
between.
Least. Yeah, exactly.
And if they're all open, you go to the other side.
And if you have to pee at the stall right next to a person or the wall-mounted toilet, then you don't talk to them while you're fucking doing it. It's just, I get weirded out when there's this older guy at my job at UPS who's a 50-year-old guy, and it's like a lot of older generational guys just don't care about that kind of thing. But to me, it's just so off-putting. It's just sometimes I'll be there, and if he happens to come to the bathroom, I mean, granted, there are only the two next to each other, so he has to come up and use it, but then he'll start initiating a conversation with me
again? That gives you the extra.
That would be the tooth.
That's the tooth.
The lucky tooth, yeah. But yeah, I'm just always I don't like doing this. But anyways, I do get the sense that after he asked the second time, and they basically cut to the next scene, I have the sense that Hawkeye did give him the autograph. Yeah. And Hawkeye's cool. He's like,
hey, Ulysses, what's up? The rule is you can only talk to Republican senators.
Exactly. Well, I think their rule is that you suck their dick while you're there, but
glory holes only.
But and then Hawkeye, he's so cool to me because once he gets that LARPing event, he's just I
like how much he fucking hated it though.
Oh, of course, but he's like, all right, I'll play by the rules. What are the rules? I'll play ball. That's him.
He hated it the whole time still.
Yes, definitely. But even then, like, I liked when he was talking to that firefighter at the end, and he's like, "Come on, you kind of liked it." And he's like, "I'm glad I did it." You know, he was just like, "Whatever, it was all right." Like that's a cool Zen kind of personality. Now, where that
he loses me a little bit there because I hate LARPing, and so I disagree.
No, I know, but that's why I'm saying why he's so much even cool-headed than like us, which is probably what would put him at that superhero level. Like I'm able to be this cool head. Now, where that is
Shut
like
the fuck up, Ulysses.
Sage loves LARPing. So
you know that we all moved into that apartment together just so we could laugh at the LARPers.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Fursuits. That's two awful things you're like mixing together.
You're calling him a furry and a fucking LARPer.
A LARPing furry?
Yeah, a furry LARPer.
That's got to be one of the worst things I've ever heard of.
Let me show you my furry LARPer.
That just sounds gross.
It's definitely, yeah. But,
sounds like you're talking about your dick.
And then what the fuck else was it? Oh, but yeah, so that to me is like the modern, like very human,
the Matt Fraction Hawkeye,
street level
so much.
Matt Fraction Hawkeye, where it's not like that Hawkeye, and where it's that scene in the second episode where him and I think him and Haley,
Hawkeye show started, by the way, Ulysses.
yeah, and I think him and Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop have good chemistry, but these are the little aspects where I think their personalities should be traded around a little bit.
They flipped him from the comic a little bit because the Clint is shown to be so competent in the movies up to this point that like him not having his shit together like he does in that comic run is kind of impossible to do.
Well, so his thing,
Steinfeld, although it is close to Seinfeld. It's close to Seinfeld.
Yeah,
so I understand why you would hear that.
Yeah. But no, for me, it's that scene in the second episode where they're walking down the street, talking to each other, and she said, you know, your problem is branding, and you know, you're low key, and that should make you really cool. But that's it should, but it's a hard sell. Even though it should make you really cool, is what she says, and that to me is actually Kate Bishop's personality in the comics.
The fact that she's lucky.
To me, Kate Bishop is like. To me, Kate Bishop has always been Marvel's version, the female version, if you want to say, but Marvel's version of Tim Drake from the Batman comics.
I see that. Absolutely.
To me, they're the cool, level-headed, young adults superheroes that are just almost prodigy-like in their potential, and you know, and that to me is Kate Bishop. She is not like what I believe. I'm not saying Haley Steinfeld isn't. What I'm hoping happens in the show is I'm hoping their personalities kind of rub off on each other in a way.
Well, that's everybody's top story ever told.
Yeah, for sure. But
that's an inherent guarantee.
But to me, Kate Bishop's inherent personality is that cool, low key. Sure. I'm not gonna act like I'm trying too hard. Because in the comics, Kate Bishop, like especially in that Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, Kate Bishop comes off as so much cooler than Clint Barton as Hawkeye, you know. And it's like, because Clint Barton is the type of superhero, like she says, that wears his heart on his sleeve, that is more what the, you know, Hawkeye of the comics should be like. What Archer superheroes generally
he's always
are
been
more
really
like
reserved in the movies, so that's always been something that has not been there in the films.
And so I hope that in this way, because Kate Bishop, she almost hero worships and idolizes Hawkeye more than she even does in the comics.
Yeah,
she's got a much longer history of it in the comics. Like she has years and years of like thinking he was like OG greatness and whatever. But in this MCU kind of context, she literally saw him being a superhero as a child, was inspired from childhood. Like, I saw this guy as a kid, and I want to kind of be that, which wasn't 100% what it was in the comics.
Oh, no, no. But, I mean, what do they ever do that's 100%?
I mean, well, and then I'll get it. That's, like, maybe a larger discussion about the MCU that I'll get into after this. But, like, yeah, Kate Bishop, she, my hope is that in a kind of sweet, like, role model kind of hero idolizing sort of way, is that she kind of like sees the kind of cool reserved thing that he's doing, and she kind of tries to act like that when she's in superhero mode.
Sure.
And then to me, so like she's like having the cool strut with the sunglasses and stuff. Like that is always Kate Bishop in the comics, you know.
Well,
so
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to build up to that, too, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like if that is what they're building towards, I'll be very happy. By the end
It's just
this.
that needs to be what her character arc leads to.
What I'm hoping for, but and Haley Steinfeld is good, of course, but like Haley Steinfeld in her first movie acting role ever in True Grit was more like Kate Bishop. the little girl she played in True Grit, I was like, oh, like how competent she is, how smart she is, how like I'm just to the point. Like, that's Kate Bishop. But Haley Steinfeld, ever since then, and all the other movie choices she's taken on, and I think her real personality in real life, I think in real life she's just a more bubbly kind of...
Sure. That's just what
just a more kind of jovial, energetic person. Sure. I think that's real. So I think Haley Steinfeld is kind of just... They got her to kind of bring that to the...
Bring her own...
her own energy to the part, which is fair. I mean, no matter what, you always have the actor.
You end up with a likable character, I think.
Yes, that's true, but it's just, you know, I'm used to a different kind of likable from Kate Bishop in the comics.
I get it.
But, so that's my only, like... And then I did watch a video, like, analysis, like, a couple days ago about kind of comparing the Hawkeye of like the MCU to the Hawkeye. He did it in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, which in this creator's perception was really close to the comics. Sure. To the 70s Hawkeye, where 70s Hawkeye has more of a chip on his shoulder. Yeah. He's a little more insecure about being the one human hero on the team without powers.
Archer is not outdated. You know,
he's a little more angry. Like
that guy in The Boys.
Yeah.
His Archer character in The Boys. He had to like get therapy because he ran out of arrows.
That's right. Yeah. He's a little more angry 70s Hawkeye.
Sure.
Silver Age Hawkeye, whatever you want to say, and so
we also have to keep in mind that they're essentially remaking Die Hard here too.
Yes, for
that's also a big element of it. So they have to fit Die Hard into this somehow.
Yeah, but in this Hawkeye show,
Vincent D'Onofrio going to be the Hans Gruber. When we actually get like into the last couple episodes and they like really come up against the villain of the show, is that what we're going to be getting to?
Oh, one thing that's interesting, I have to look up his name because I'm pretty sure it's not the case. But you know that like Armand Duquesne character, whatever his name is,
that's Hawkeye's like mentor.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Is that Swordmaster?
Yeah, he's Hawkeye's totally Hawkeye's personal mentor. From like the circus, and
the character
himself has been an Avenger.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering if that was like, once they brought up his fencing history and stuff like that. I was like, oh, is that the Swordmaster guy? And
totally is.
And that
guy was also in a fucking absolutely great character in the last like season or two of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
He's fucking great.
What I see being a cool story beat then in the Hawkeye show is that right now Kate Bishop thinks that he's the villain and that her mom's, like this innocent woman, where really he is kind of secretly either like this French covert operative or a superhero, whatever, that only is in proximity to her because he's trying to break down her kind of criminal.
And I'm sorry, Richard, I didn't see your comment there. What's the deal with Hawkeye? Are you, like, just in general, or, like, I'm just trying to clarify your question.
Oh, sure.
Like, what's the deal with him? Like, is his backstory, you mean, or what's the deal with the show's main plot line, or what's the deal? I just want to know what you mean specifically.
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's the deal? Oh, okay. I'm stupid.
Sometimes it's hard to read those inflections and tone, Ulysses, on just text.
No. I think that would have been super obvious if I saw it right away.
Well,
I just didn't read it when it first popped up.
Yeah,
but he just asked the question about Seinfeld right before that.
I'm also sure if Ulysses was here, he'd go like, "What's the deal with
Right. It would have been that's true. It would just be more clear. That's fair.
No, yeah.
But that's funny. No, that is funny.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna. I doubt it's gonna be the case because I was kind of hoping there'd be a cool like piece of dialogue or something, just a callback thing where they'd be talking and Kate Bishop's like, "Where'd you learn like archery and how to fight and stuff?" And he'd be like, "Oh, from the circus." Like I thought, like he'd maybe have like a line calling back to that. Just.
I mean, he could still.
But since that is actually that character, I wonder one if they'll do anything with Hawkeye ever runs into this guy, and then Clint Barton would he recognize him? Like, oh, he's like this French spy that taught me stuff.
His like main personal mentor.
Yeah, or is it gonna be that Swordmaster doesn't train Clint Barton's Hawkeye? He kind of trains Kate Bishop's Hawkeye.
That would be interesting.
And then I also can't help but wonder if
got taught at the circus by Dumbo.
I can't help but wonder if part of Jeremy Renner doing the series, and because Jeremy Renner would seem to me like the kind of actor
who wouldn't even want to be in one of these franchises.
Since the beginning.
He made comments during the first event, like after the first Avengers movie, about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do another one. He did say
exactly.
that. Say that.
He's always been like a weird
choice.
Yeah,
just because like you'd think he wouldn't want to be there.
He naturally has a push-offish kind of personality. I feel like, and publicity and whatever, and like so.
I mean, how are you going to turn down those checks at a certain point, especially if the movies do keep being relatively within a pretty solid range of quality?
For sure, but. Also, since like in a lot of the MCU right now, they're doing a lot of the passing off of the mantle, and I can't help but wonder if by the end of the series, unless they do like a season 2 or something like Loki or whatever, if by the end of it the idea is that he is officially passing off the Hawkeye name to Kate Bishop, and he's basically like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm having Christmas with my family now. No more Hawkeye stuff."
Right.
I could see that being part of the appeal to Jeremy, getting him to do it. It's like, hey, this is the last thing you ever have to do.
Yeah, you can go. You can go home. You're done. You can go live your life now.
It's like when your boss asks you to work an extra 2 hours overtime, and then like tells you you're good for you can go to the weekend,
Right.
And I wonder if that's part of the incentive for Jeremy Renner in this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also had to get him to sign a new contract for this because these shows were not in any of the negotiated contracts with these actors before.
Well, that's right.
They had to sign new contracts to get any of the actors to be in these shows. So.
I mean, obviously, like, I've never seen any of these Hollywood contracts before, like up close in real life. So I don't know if like signing a contract
licenses is so different from film licenses that because they didn't know they were making shows, they wouldn't have included it.
Well, for sure, but my point is like I don't know if signing a contract necessarily means you have to do more than one thing, or if it means like, or it could be a contract saying like I never have to do anything again after this.
Right.
I don't know, but to me that would be a tiny bit of a shame if that's the case, just because for so long the dynamic of Hawkeye in the comics is there's been 2 Hawkeyes.
Right.
And Clint Barton's a cool enough superhero that he's cool, and he basically, that Hawkeye dynamic set up the precedent for all these superheroes now, like Miles Morales and other superheroes that exist simultaneously while the other mantle holder is there. He basically...
with Miles, they kind of cheated because they killed Peter off in an alternate universe rather than just killing off actual Spider-Man.
And to be fair, at the time that Clint Barton was kind of dead in the comics at the time that Kate Bishop came into
there you go.
Scene
which is
as a character.
When the Young Avengers came in, it was because the Avengers were missing and they all posed. Am I remembering that right?
Yes. So
they all kind of pretended to be.
So Kate Bishop's there from the beginning in Young Avengers. although she only just goes by Kate Bishop for like 14 issues or whatever, and she doesn't become or start having the Hawkeye name till like issue 14 or something like that.
Okay.
I was refreshing my memory on this the other day, and so and that moment in the comics is really cool. I don't know if I ever read that moment myself, but just like rereading that moment, just like on Wikipedia, I was like, oh, that's such a bomb moment. The idea that you know, when the Young Avengers first set up, you're right, they're like these kind of teenage vigilantes that are doing their own thing. The older superheroes didn't even know they were doing this.
Well, aren't they like straight up like missing in an alternate universe or like another dimension or something? And that's why
that's an arc. That's an arc later. That's an arc later on, actually.
Called the okay. I thought that was why they like put the costumes on in the first place.
No, I think that's called the Children's Crusade arc or whatever.
Oh,
okay. I think they start operating, and then like very early on, Captain America tells them to shut down, and basically he's like, "You're all kids. Do not
get the fuck out of here.
Do not do this. Don't dress up as us.
Right.
Fuck off. You know.
Go fuck yourselves, kids."
Yeah, and that's very much Captain America. He's like, "We're not going to train you. We're not going to do any of this shit. Just stop being superheroes. Give up."
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like one of the less inspiring kind of pep talks.
Very much so. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, he's trying to be a responsible
adult.
He
just doesn't want him to get hurt.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, they continue to do their stuff.
Well, yeah, because what teenager listens?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't.
And but they do some good at the same time. One of them either gets injured. I think one of them just gets injured. I think it's Patriot, and basically, Captain America is really mad at them at first, and Kate Bishop is the one that stands up to him and gets mad at him, and she's like, "No, fuck you. If you had trained us, we'd be fucking okay.
Right.
You fucked that up, Captain America. You did that shit." And all the other teenagers are afraid to speak up to Captain America because he's their idol. She's the one who's like, again, because she's Kate Bishop, she's cool. To the point, I'll say whatever the fuck I want because I'm just that cool. You know, like, I'm just gonna just point my finger in his face and fucking tell him what's what and kind of tell him the truth in this moment. And then afterwards, he so like respects that he comes to her and he's like, you know, the only other Avenger that ever talked shit like that to me was Clint Barton, was Hawkeye.
Really? Because I feel like Wolverine would be doing that constantly.
Well, also, Wolverine was never an Avenger until the new Avengers that Brian Michael Bendis started writing. It wasn't until Michael, that's what a lot of people...
Because they started flipping the cast too much.
One smaller reason why people hate Brian Michael Bendis is because he made basically every superhero in the Marvel Universe an Avenger.
Yeah.
He was started that trend. Yeah. Before that, Wolverine, it was always X-Men or Alpha Flight.
Right, whatever. You had Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor,
there was a certain roster.
Right.
Of those or the West Coast Avengers, whatever.
They were a pretty static team.
It was this specific group into...
No.
It was Herbie.
No, he wasn't.
Well, at this point now, he probably is an Avenger. But
I feel like even that might be the one character that might still be a stretch even now.
He's probably called Herbie the Avenger now. That's right. Yes, no, but so this was back in the day when it's that... You like
when
that.
The Avengers
that tight,
are still just the Avengers.
That tight unit, yes. Yeah. Hawkeye was like the only one in a certain situation to like really get in his face in the same way that Kate Bishop did, and he's like, "That's why I want you to have that."
Thanos. I don't think Thanos has ever been an Avenger.
I'm not gonna lie, Ulysses. He might also be considered an honorary Avenger at this point. I wouldn't even be fucking surprised.
I know that like he did.
Marvel has
kind of team up with them at the end of the Infinity Gauntlet comic, because Nebula gets the Infinity Gauntlet, and then he's like, well, shit, I guess now I have to, because, you know.
Marvel Comics has defecated on itself so much lately. Anyways, but I won't get into that. But yeah, so he's like, so you can have Hawkeye's name. Kate Bishop basically got the other Young Avengers the right to have some of this connection to the old.
Captain America told her that she could have that name.
Yeah, because at this point Hawkeye is still kind of dead.
Oh, right, okay.
I can't remember if he actually was dead or if he really was dead at that time. But Captain America told her, he's like, Clint, he'd respect you enough. You take his name. You earned it. So
that's just funny the way I thought that for a second because I was thinking
just
like
Clint
was like over there alive
so
and Captain America's like, yeah, you can just I'm gonna take it from him and give it to you.
Clint, what's your income? Give that to her too.
Give her your income. So, we should do an Avengers of all the biggest villains, like Annihilus. Well, I mean, there is the Masters of Evil.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
I had been waiting for the MCU to do that for a while too.
I don't know if we'll get that, or we'll get Thunderbolts, or I don't know if we'll get both, or. But
well, yeah, and then Thunderbolts is kind of like their Suicide Squad too, so it's like. It's not quite that, again, that
Masters of Evil is a little
that
more
villain
original.
Organization plotting world domination. That's
whereas like Thunderbolts is, here's Thunderbolt Ross from the government coming in and making them do this stuff for him.
Yeah.
Whereas Masters of Evil is, Thanos and Doctor Doom and Baron Zemo get together and they make a plan.
Probably not originally Thanos, but
not Thanos. I'm just saying
terrestrial Earth villains.
Yeah, definitely Earth-based.
Genius villains, whatever you want to call them,
like
getting
the Puppet
together.
Master from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, their version.
Masters of Evil sounds like something from He-Man. Yeah, kind of. I guess.
Yeah,
Masters of the Universe.
It's their version of the Marvel's version of the Legion of Doom.
That's
So.
Granted, it's funny that both of the big villain teams in Marvel are both kind of copies of DC, right? Because DC did the Legion of Doom and the Suicide Squad first, so.
Well, to be fair, I do honestly believe that it is the Super Friends cartoon from the 60s that started the Legion of Doom. That actually created the concept. That created the concept, which is just such a kind of cool concept, this Darth Vader helmet base in a swamp in the bayou.
Right.
Just being like, oh, that's kind of sick. I'm gonna, so we can actually think Super Friends, Masters of Evil might, and actually, it could predate the Legion of Doom. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Right.
That date. I also have to continue looking at those amalgam characters, although I wish Tim was here for that to continue.
That was fun.
I remember he was here when I started reading that list. So those are pretty much all my thoughts on the Hawkeye 2 episodes so far.
I'm trying to think if there was anything I had about it, or anything else that I had.
The one other thing I was going to say is in that video he makes the point that when he's comparing sort of the MCU Hawkeye and the kind of comic book / that cartoon Hawkeye.
Right.
Is saying he has less of that chip on his shoulder because he's got a family. He's always been a family-oriented version of Clint Barton, and he also made the point that even in this show, this is a family-oriented version of Kate Bishop as well.
That is also true, yeah.
So it's not quite that Kate Bishop, who is some ways Tim Drake, but also with a bit of Bruce Wayne's background, in that she comes from money. Right. She's kind of cold and removed a little bit from normal people because she grew up rich.
Right. So I mean, they even comment on that in the episode.
Although in this show, I feel like it's like because she was rich, she wanted to rebel against that a little bit and become a person of the people. Like you see her living in that shitty apartment. For a rich person, she's living in New York.
That's true. She does have a shitty apartment.
She's all about like.
Say any organization that willingly labels itself the bad guys sounds like it would come from a cartoon. That is true.
Yes, right. Yes.
or comic books though.
Comic books. I mean, Dr. Doom.
Yeah, Dr. Doom. I mean, Victor Von Doom. It's just your birth name.
Yeah, yes. I mean,
Magneto decided his own name would be Magneto.
That's a little unbelievable. Yeah.
Sinestro.
Yeah.
You don't expect him to be sinister at all.
The one thing we can at least say fairly in Sinestro's defense is that was just his given alien name. That's the one thing where you're like, hey, I was born with it. What the fuck can I do? I mean, he could change it, but
he is still totally the bad guy.
Yeah. But you're right.
It's a thing you just have to kind of accept and roll with.
Yeah.
I feel like with superhero stuff, you just kind of have to be okay with that there's going to be a little bit of that. Even if it's just the names,
Literally just like cartoons started for children. Superhero comic books started out for children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Superman, all that.
It's evolved over time into being something that is totally for all ages, but the early days were for kids, 100%.
Yeah. So, you know, what do you do? They want villains that sound like villains. They want heroes that sound like heroes. Right. You know?
Got to be easy to understand for the children.
Yeah. For the what would you just say?
The chitlins.
I was gonna say the chitlins. I was like, are we eating them now?
I mean, Ulysses might want to.
Ulysses, yeah. Oh, that's true.
I mean, with the cannibalism, would you eat a kid, or do they need to grow up and get more meat first before you're willing to butcher them and eat them?
Who's actually trying to be a hero? I know.
The comedy character, the blatantly evil man, was trying to be a hero, but the actual heroes keep gunning for him.
That's a good idea.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think that was okay. So that was pretty much. Did you want to say anything about Hawkeye?
I was trying to think if there was anything else that really caught me. I laughed. I genuinely did really laugh when the bell tower went down.
Oh yeah,
I laughed at that. I really did. I thought that was funny.
I will say my one kind of criticism so far of the show thus far in just these 2 episodes is that the action is not that strong to me, except to be
that clip of the car chase that we got before it came out.
I don't. Was that just in the trailers and stuff?
No, it was part of the Disney Plus day because they released the Moon Knight trailer, the She-Hulk trailer, the Miss Marvel trailer. There was a big scene of Hawkeye. It was all one big video. Did you see any of that stuff?
This is a Disney
Plus Investor Day thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I heard. I saw
it was a pretty lengthy thing that showed footage from every show.
I saw kind of the Moon Knight clip, but that was about
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes, that was part of a montage of all.
And just because I saw the Moon Knight part, it was only that long. I was like, what am I gonna really super get out of?
I totally get that. That's I think part of why they did it as a big montage of teasers for everything all at the same time. So there's actually a lengthy sequence in this this Hawkeye trailer that I thought was a very well filmed. I thought it was a really cool action scene.
Because I was just gonna say I think
so far I would agree though. So far,
I mean, to me the best action scene that I enjoyed and got the most entertainment out of was the LARPing sword fight scene. To me, that was the best action scene so far in these first 2 episodes.
Sure.
Because it was more entertaining and it wasn't supposed to be a real serious or a serious fight or anything.
Right. It was funny and it served its purpose.
Yeah, and the fact though that it seems like Hawkeye is actually trying to kind of do real sword moves to get these people out of his way, or to defeat them in battle. And then
I kind of read it as he doesn't even have to try to do those real sword moves.
Well, yeah, but yeah, exactly. But I also love just getting to that guy with the Ronin suit, and when he says "Let me kill you," and it's I fought fucking Thanos. God damn it! And I also like his hesitation of no, not even in this fake, meaningless fight are you going to kill me.
Nah, I don't think in adults I don't even like veal. Fair enough, man. They got a natural rumination, I guess.
I feel like we're so in the zone with Hades, just getting into it. Right, I didn't even realize you were at the Hades boss fight. Until this point, just till I looked up the screen.
And I've also got all my death device, and I've already got his health bar down.
Oh, holy, yeah.
Once already.
I don't want to jinx it, but you got this.
That's only one.
To me, that's probably the best act. But otherwise, I like it because of the character and the writing and
Loki. I also felt I was when the characters are just having a conversation, this is interesting, and then when they broke out into an action scene, Loki was
it was almost unnecessary.
Yeah, I almost wish there was well, you guys don't even your writing is so much better. I wish you didn't even have action scenes almost.
Right, and it's trying to be this philosophical existential
which
thing
is why
about
I thought
travel,
the finale of Loki was so good because it was almost entirely just a single conversation.
Exactly, because for me, I like the first 3 episodes and I like the finale of Loki. But to me, episodes 4 and 5 are a little lacking in some ways because they're just fan servicey and plot heavy and whatever. But yeah, so that's why I think overall this Hawkeye show could be better. But yeah, that first scene of her in the Ronin costume fighting these guys was so choppy with the editing, and that I thought was honestly a somewhat horribly done action scene. I don't remember.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I wasn't impressed either.
I like never remember seeing like a single punch or kick like feeling like it landed in any of those moments. I feel like they sometimes did the kind of editing where like you can almost see like a kick completely miss, just miss the sleeve, but somehow it's like the guy got hurt. To me that's usually in movies and TV bad action.
I guess I didn't think it was that bad.
Paying attention to it, I was like,
I was paying attention.
Oh, I know you were.
You say that like I wasn't though.
But it was not checking with me.
I mean, that's fine, but I was paying attention.
Yeah, I can't remember like. Black Widow might have had better action scenes. I don't know.
Black Widow had terrible. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it was great because I also agree. I did not think it stood out or was impressed by it. But I definitely could say I like the action of Black Widow less.
Yeah, I mean it's very TV and it's like
it did feel TV-ish. I will totally agree with that. It did feel TV-ish.
Like the action is bad in Black Widow because it's got such greater scope or budget.
And it's not doing anything with it.
Yeah, but like at least I can remember a moment of either Black Widow or Taskmaster or somebody.
Can you? Because I can't.
Doing one of those kicks where I like it like to the chest. Like it's one of those MCU. Nice.
Barely even paid attention, to be completely honest.
One of those MCU choreographed moves that have been around since Winter Soldier. Like there's some move Winter Soldier or somebody did where they did some kind of rising knee kick, and I was like, at least they recreated that kick, but it's not.
I mean, that's very true. It's because of the way it pushes believability.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. Whereas. It's just, I mean, it's probably not something anybody would even notice like 20 years ago, but it's like, especially since the choreography and the fighting action bar has been raised in superhero TV shows, especially since like Daredevil and Netflix.
I mean, even just whatever. Like, not the third act, but like the fight scenes in like the first two acts of Shang-Chi were really well filmed.
Oh, well, yeah, right? Exactly. So, like,
that also sets a standard. Even that Shang-Chi could not live up to, right? Yes. Even in its own third act couldn't live up to. But that it also creates like now you go look at a different Marvel movie and it's like you guys aren't putting the same level of effort you put into those actions.
Yeah, and if you want to be true. If you want to be real about the MCU, you're like, well, if this is supposed to be taking place in that same universe as Shang-Chi and everybody, if there's that capability for fights to go down like that, then that even sinks it lower to me in my estimation.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. 100% agree with that.
But yeah, that was pretty much all my thought. Well, I guess I'm gonna shut up for a minute just to see what this Persephone thing is here.
Yeah.
It's so weird now that we're at the point in Hades which is kind of where you get to in Hades, where you play for like an hour or 2 hours to get one little bit of chunk of story every 2 hours.
Right. Kind of feels like an old school video game in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In that way.
Take a little drink.
In steady contact with Athena, Zeus, and other members of the family ever since I first left Father's house. They've been assisting me in getting here.
No. Zagreus, what have you done?
Uh-oh.
You've led them here?
Oh, is that the only reason they were helping us?
No, they think I'm trying to escape from Father so that I can join them on their mountaintop. At least I think that's what they think. Most of them, anyway.
It honestly seems like the Olympians are pretty oblivious.
They don't know what Persephone is doing, especially her own mother. That's what's weird to me is,
and that I can't remember. I can't remember if at this point in time Demeter thinks her daughter is still lost to her in Hades, or if she thinks she's dead, or like.
Why wouldn't they then leave boons for Persephone like they have for Zagreus to try and help her out? Like if they think she's lost.
Well, that's the thing. Like the whole point of Persephone here is that she is kind of almost in like a witness protection program of the gods in a weird way. Like, I don't think any of the other Olympians, except for maybe one, I can't remember if, because in traditional
mythology, who put her in this witness protection program thing? Then,
yeah, in traditional mythology, Zeus was in on all of this stuff with Persephone. He knew about that. In some versions of the tale, he actually kind of like okayed Hades to take Persephone because he knew Hades was so lonely in Hades. He's like, yeah, my brother needs a wife. Let's just give him, you can take her.
I remember playing old games in the 90s where you'd fight through a 2-hour level to find out what happens in the next 1-minute cutscene that looked like it was filmed by 2 middle-aged guys in a garage. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. I do. I totally remember that.
And Zeus is like, in that old myth, he's often like kind of the facilitator. He's kind of like he's the one that everybody he's the go-between. Like, he's going to Demeter, he's trying to tell her, like, look, I can't let everything on Earth die. You need to kind of let nature kick back in here. Right. And you're going kind of crazy. And then
I know it's your just because it's Zeus, I would think he would say, I know it's your time of the month. Zeus would say that. Zeus would absolutely say some shit like that.
And Demeter, she has to go to Zeus, and she's being like, are you working on getting my daughter back? Because otherwise the Earth still is in perpetual winter.
And Zeus is like, this is I do my shit like the DMV, so wait.
And then Hades is going to him, and he's like, oh, let me keep my wife. And and Zeus is like talking to Hades. He's like, you might have to share custody of her with her mom. You might have to do that.
Like, you can have her for 6 months.
Exactly.
Can you imagine like a police negotiator saying that to a dude who's got a bunch of hostages? Look, you can have them for 6 months out of the year, okay?
Yeah.
But for right now, you need to let them out.
Exactly. So Zeus's role is kind of fun. So I don't remember if in this game, because again, it's been a while since I remember these little parts. I can't remember if Zeus knows. Hermes might actually know in this game. I can't remember, but
I can see it. That would make sense.
Because Hermes is always a little bit impartial amongst the Olympians. He's always like, he's not really like, he's a messenger.
Yeah, he's like he founded UPS.
Exactly. Nathan Fillion founded UPS. But he just he just does what he's ordered to do, but he's not really like loyal or in one god's camp. He's not really like, never been like that. Hermes that I can remember.
I don't mean to interrupt your story, but I also totally just had a thought that I think would be fun. Like, I know we want to do all these video game movies, but I think it would be fun, bad video game movies. And I know me and Ulysses also on our own time did a bunch of mythology movies, but it would be kind of fun if, like, on the channel at some point we did some watch parties or some almost riff tracks type things.
I've been wanting to do that
if we did like themes of like kinds of movies, we did like a bunch of bad mythology movies in a row.
Does that mean rewatching some of those bad ones you watched
before?
Oh, really?
Because Alex hasn't seen them.
Oh, Alex hasn't seen them. Oh, that's a good
Alex hasn't seen them, so we can force him to sit through them.
Oh, man, all the shit we think to force Alex to do.
I kind of want to get like a gnomes that he can hold during the streams.
Oh, did you see that little thing I found about gnomes that I sent you a picture of when I was in... I found some gnome thing in Arizona.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
can't remember what it was. It's probably one of those ones you see all the time. Let's see what was
it. No one tell Alex. This is going to be a surprise. Because I don't think Alex will listen to the stream. But nobody tell Alex. But Nadia's painting him like a gnome painting.
Really?
For like Christmas awesome. It's like a Christmas themed like gnome painting.
Yeah, I like this one. I don't know if anybody can see that, but it's
if you turn the brightness on your phone down, it shows up a little better.
That's a good idea. My brightness is already kind of down though. Let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it says "Take me, gnome," and I just love the idea of Alex. I can imagine Alex saying that, like, "Take me, gnome, to my gnomes."
Take me, gnome, tonight. That's Eddie Money's famous song, "Take Me, Gnome, Tonight."
Yeah, that's Alex's favorite song too.
Hades know
Oh, yeah.
this?
Oh, well, here maybe they'll say.
Olympus is involved?
He does. Both he and Nyx.
Well, yeah, we know what Hades knows.
Are Hades
Free of the underworld.
and Nyx just trying to figure out where Persephone is? And so they can get her back. They can, like, drag her back. Is that, like, did they tell the Olympians? Or, like, let it leak that Zagreus was down there so that they would contact him so that they could trap the Olympians into trapping Zagreus into leading them to her?
Well, no, I mean, believe it or not, the Olympians...
It's not that complicated.
The Olympians never actually play, like, a
real
malevolent role in it. Yeah, they're there for the boons. And,
they're there for gameplay reasons, not for story.
They're there a little bit for story, kind of near the end of the story, but they're not really... It's not like
that.
I had thoughts like that at times too while playing this. I was like, oh, are the Olympians is this part some coup? Is this what are the Olympians up to some shady shit like they usually are?
Right.
But they're actually not really in this situation.
Okay. So Nyx and Hades are against each other then, and Olympus is helping you, but they don't know I'm here as far as you're aware.
Right.
That's right, more or less. Nyx and Father seem to put up with each other. Don't seem to have much of a choice. Though ever since I learned of you, Nyx has been helping me to find you, while Father's tried to stop me.
That fool. What was he thinking? What is he thinking? Do you suppose he thinks that he's protecting me from them? Oh no.
I think maybe he does think so indeed. Because now, having met my relatives upon Olympus, I can definitely see that they can be a bit vindictive about things.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's true.
It's an understatement.
My son. Then if Olympus is involved, that would explain a lot.
But yeah, it's mostly specifically about Zagreus's family drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Understatement of the year. Yeah.
We'll have to speak some more when next you return.
Interesting, her reaction was a lot less significant to him dying that time.
Yeah, she does kind of seem to be getting used to it, I guess. I don't know. But
You're getting used to watching a child die.
yeah,
It happens.
It happens.
Well, this is
Yeah.
going to be awkward.
Well, that's a run. I'll talk to everybody and then pass it over to you.
All right.
Natural causes got you once again there, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. If you wanna talk about your Eternals, though.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of excited, to be honest.
It can't be that. Yeah, I see what you mean.
I mean,
There,
yeah, if he
Ulysses.
does keep coming, I do that. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
This is good. This is all supposed to unlock eventually, right? For it to
Yeah,
actually go in there.
I thought I remembered that
Maybe
sort
it's
of.
because we have like progressed through certain parts of the story
much faster,
sooner.
yeah.
Maybe it's taking a different amount of time to unlock
Yeah,
some
I guess
of
I
these.
thought I remembered the archive opening up after that dream sequence being inside the archive, but
Maybe it didn't save the dream sequence.
or was that saved? What's the administrative privilege again?
That's what that- so that's it right there. Okay.
I forgot you just buy it from the contractor.
Ah.
Okay.
This is a very realistic contractor, because normally it'd be like, oh well, I'll be there sometime between, noon and 8
I
p.m.
know.
all of November.
Yeah, right.
And then he shows up in December.
Yeah,
Earn
no.
access to and enter the administrative
For
chamber.
sure.
All right.
Well, you have to remember that contractors here are probably like
Being tortured
slaves.
if they don't work.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
Hades, yeah.
Yeah.
No. So unfortunately, I was not very big on Eternals. It was a little boring, I gotta say.
That's kind of what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh, this actually like tells you the details of your different attempts.
That's a Kool-Aid.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Is that a Kool-Aid cooler?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Like,
We've only played 37 times. That's not that many, considering we beat Hades as many times as we have.
It probably seems about right, like overall attempts. Like we haven't been playing it like as much.
No,
as,
I know. I just
know.
mean in terms of how compared to how much progress we've made.
Right.
Because you had the kind of knowledge coming in, we were able to get farther faster.
Yes,
So I just
definitely.
mean it doesn't seem like a lot of attempts compared to how much progress we've made.
Yeah. Like I say, you're not really making a dent in how many times you've played it until you've done it at least 100 times, or something like that. But
yeah, we'll be on this game for a while.
Yes.
Which is not that's a good thing as far as
true.
Elapsed time is 43 hours. Imagine how long it'd be going in blind. Wow, we played 43 hours of this?
Is that right?
Jesus Christ. I guess so.
Damn.
Hang in there.
That was kind of a weird thing for him to just randomly say.
That was a weird thing for him just randomly to say. Huh. Alright, cool. Oh, that's what the file said.
Oh, wow.
So,
Holy
we've
shit.
been playing this we have done 47 hours.
Wow.
Alright.
I mean, I honestly can't wait until we can log more hours into it. Like, if we're ever able to do, like, streams that are, like, just an hour or two longer than what we normally do, then... Oh, yeah, your new job there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's... I haven't even applied to it. It's just something I'm maybe looking at. Mm-hmm. If that happens, it will be like I will be working a Monday through Friday job, though.
Yeah,
like a 9 to 5, or something closer to that at least.
Yeah.
If that happens, that means we would have to stream on weekends.
Which is fine because once school's done, I won't have to devote weekends to homework anymore.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I mean, maybe maybe we could even do like a Saturday night each week, or maybe not every week.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Shut up. I don't come to your job and slap the dick out of your mouth, do I?
The dick sucking factory.
Jesus Christ. But no, it would be cool. I mean, if we did like a Saturday night one, in theory, we could start at like, 8 p.m. after dinner,
right?
And then go into like
midnight or something.
Midnight one, and do like into the late night.
That'd be cool.
Thing.
That'd be cool.
So we'll see what happens.
Maybe when I'm a little loopy, I say funny things.
You do. Use your inside dick. That came out of his mouth. I think the only stream that wouldn't be affected by that is the Tuesday night one with Alex and Ulysses. But we would, the four of us, in theory, be able to do streams all four together.
Yes, that's true.
If we were doing it on the weekends more, if I had that time on weekends, we could all four of us, which we at some point are going to do, all four of us, a Dreams stream where we find every known game that anybody has made.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to happen.
Oh, man, but yeah, Turtles, it sucked.
You have an inside dick if you're circumcised? I don't think you have an inside dick if you're uncircumcised. That's not what that means.
I believe when I had that...
I thought of like a dog standing up, because their dicks go inside.
Okay, I believe when I had that little eureka moment of yelling out, use your inside dick, I believe I was just thinking...
At like 5% consciousness.
5% consciousness, and I'm pretty sure I was thinking about, like, in the way that somebody yells out, use your inside voice. So basically, I think all I was saying was "fuck inside," but it's like
urethra moment. You mean?
that's actually that's a good one. I don't know if that quite qualifies as a pun, but if it was, that was a good one.
That's good. Wordplay, maybe not a pun.
It was good word. I'm not fine with wordplay. Just puns suck. But yeah, so I basically think I was just saying "fuck inside," but then it's like, who doesn't fuck inside? Really, 90% of the time you're fucking inside, so it doesn't really make sense.
There are people, though.
There are people. There are. I don't know who those people are. I don't want to know them, but they do exist.
You walk into the wrong place, man. You walk around. Ulysses once walked down by the river. Oh, God,
what happened to Ulysses? Down by the river?
Old man river. No, he was, he could tell that story.
It sounds like he was going to run into Juan, or the way this story is being told.
No. He was walking down by the river, and there were people, like, in the woods just straight up filming porn. Like, not just fucking, but filming porn. And then, come on, Ulysses, there's no way you don't remember this. There's that guy who lived, his house was, like, right in front of that part of the woods, or, like, right by the river, and or maybe it was just the woods. I don't know if it was by the river, maybe it was just the woods. But then that guy was like, yeah, man, they've been doing it for 12 years. I've been fucking behind my house for 12 years.
I remember him specifically saying that now, too. Yeah.
But, sometimes.
It does. No, I mean, obviously, usually people fuck
I've
outside.
heard it from my window before.
I think people are usually more comfortable having sex in a warm place inside.
We have nice summers.
You know what I'm saying? On a bed, on a couch, whatever. But
called the word fucking yet, but so they were just taking
she's posing
pictures.
nude. Yeah, I think occasionally
They were gonna get there, though.
Yeah,
you
go to a nature trail sometimes.
You get naked. You pose for pictures. It's a thing.
I mean, I think once I've been out on a nature trail and maybe, out in the trees somewhere, it looked like they were shooting porn or something, or nudity or something.
Yeah. No, I feel. I mean, yeah. Would. Better watch out for ticks, though.
Yeah, ticks on your tits.
Ticks on your tits.
Ticks on your dicks.
Yeah, ticks on your dicks, man. You know
what a Dr. Seuss book that would be. Ticks on your tits and ticks on your dicks. Thing 1 and thing 2. Or ball, testicle 1, testicle 2.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe Chuck Tingle should get into some Seussian style literature.
Yeah.
It wasn't a nature trail, really. It was separated from the street by, one row of trees.
Oh, okay. Well, that
was pretty close.
That's not quite the same. Yeah. It's a little weird when they're just fucking out in public, but yeah.
I've seen people do it on the bus.
Yeah, that's not cool either.
Guess technically it's inside, but...
they're using their inside dick. But anyways, but
yeah. One dialogue at a time.
But yeah, I unfortunately
I'm probably going to agree with all your criticisms.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be that it didn't.
No, and that's the thing. It's not offensively terrible, and it's not even offensive to me creatively in that way that Black Widow was.
I think
Black Widow might still just overall be the worst MCU movie. Yeah. Might still be.
I feel like Eternals Eternals felt like people were trying. Even if it didn't, even if you're not into it, even if you didn't feel like it worked, there did seem like there was effort.
But I think unfortunately, by the virtue of just how much I did not care for the movie, it would probably unfortunately be in my bottom rung of Marvel films.
It would be low for me.
It would be low, yeah. Because
I enjoyed it okay. I thought it was okay. I would give it a very a similar
if I was grading out of 10, I'd give it a 5.
Yeah,
if I was grading it out of 5, I'd give it a 3. It's
that's about where I'm at. Something right around the middle.
But it was so weird to me that in that sense, it's like they didn't even make just a good movie. And I know that same case with Black Widow. I mean, I think they just kind of made an almost just bad movie.
No, they did. Yeah. They made a bad, not even almost.
Yeah.
Not almost. The closest previous. Well, yeah, what else is closest to Eternals, would you say, in terms of quality?
Trying to think of the
To me, Shang-Chi was closest.
To me, Shang-Chi I at least thought was good. Shang-Chi Shang-Chi would be, to me, in a whole tier of Marvel films. Shang-Chi, to me...
I liked Shang-Chi more than you did, too. But more than you liked Shang-Chi. But I like Shang-Chi way more than Eternals. I have of the third act are what kind of pull it down a little bit to that, more on that level to me.
Yeah, even that third act. But so Shang-Chi for me is closer to Ant-Man 1. Or it's around Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but to me Guardians of the Galaxy 1 I still
that's a really very original movie, I feel like.
For all those movies, they're 4 out of 5s and 8 out of 10s. Guardians of the Galaxy might be
one of the best ones
there.
Of those, yeah.
And then maybe just for also how boring it is in parts, Thor: The Dark World.
I liked it more than Thor. More than Dark World. Yeah, I liked it more than that.
I honestly I think even coming out of the movie, I was thinking I think I like Thor: The Dark World a little more than this.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you.
It was so fucking for what substance that movie had, because I think every film and every
was my biggest problem.
Yeah, every film, every narrative, you make it how long based on what substance you have in your story.
Totally.
Since there was little to no meaningful substance in that movie, it should have been an hour and a half. It should the shortest you can make a movie while it can still be considered a releasable in theaters movie. That's how long Eternal should have been. Instead, it was a whole hour, almost hour and a half longer than that.
It was about 2:30, I want to say. Like
when I looked at the runtime, it was 2 hours and 47 minutes. Discounting, I think that's including credits.
Though. That's
but
like 15 minutes.
It did almost feel like a 3-hour movie. It felt close to the length of Endgame, but Endgame I enjoyed almost every minute of the length of that movie.
Right.
Which is interesting because Endgame, usually movies that are close to 3 hours that are really, really good.
Yeah.
They go by. They seem like they go by faster. They don't seem 3 hours. They might even seem like 2 hours. But there are some really good 3-hour movies that
Return of
the King. That does feel that long. And Endgame also feels a bit that long. But you're like, I love spending my time doing this. I love spending my time watching this. And spending 3 hours in this world. It's almost why you're there, why you like it. It's like
because you want to spend that much time there. Yeah.
You're visiting this world for an extended time. And that's what's cool about those movies. Eternals did not warrant that even a little bit.
So would you agree with what I said before you'd seen it about how if they had done the past parts as a show and then just the present day had been a movie?
It's like, honestly,
you could have cut like
I've heard so many
2/3 of that movie. You could have made the movie 40 minutes if you did what I said.
Right. Right. I've heard so many reviews have the same criticism, and it's like which in a lot of movies, especially like historical biopics, do this too, or movies that are covering large like epochs or eras of like even just human history. It's like sometimes they just pick the the most disinteresting parts of that history to focus on.
Sure.
You pick what is it, 7,000 years of time span. And you basically just show us the present.
Yeah, that was one of my problems.
It's like this movie should have just been about them through time.
Real quick, we're just.
Oh, sorry, I totally forgot.
I only just got to that.
Yeah.
I got through all the dialogue.
Okay. Again, if I don't finish up my run, can you just finish it for me?
I will absolutely finish it.
And so let's see, what weapon did you use?
I used the gun again.
Might go gloves here, or let's go gloves.
And I did it with relative ease this time. Honestly, I didn't even feel like it was that hard this time.
Right. I'm trying to think.
Partially that's because Sekiro is so fucking difficult.
Aspect of Demeter.
That like playing that now is like getting me to the point where like. Man, like Cuphead is the only other game that seems difficult still in comparison to Sekiro.
Oh, really?
Like that. Basically every other game I've played, I feel like, is like, it's not that hard. In comparison to Sekiro and Cuphead.
And it's a weird comparison I can think of for the Eternals right now, Ulysses. Not quite in tone, but for what I'm about to say here, is True Blood, the television show.
Interesting.
Where True Blood. Although I will give this to True Blood. True Blood is so much more entertaining in its present day parts than Eternals ever was, and it's like because they come up with the dumbest story subplots in the present day.
Oh yeah, well True Blood is fucking stupid, but it knows how to make you laugh.
Like we used to say, especially in the early seasons, whenever they would do like a flashback arc that was set in a different time period,
that was like, actually good.
They actually had an idea for this episode for a good story, and that's basically what Eternal should have been. Like they should have
all the past.
There should have been little mini arcs situated around these different eras and civilizations in time. Like they learn this lesson about humanity in China or whatever, and then they learn this lesson in India, and they learn this lesson in the New World. Like that should have basically been the movie, and then the very, very, very end of the movie, which again probably just 2 hours. It could just been 2 hours. Maybe two. Again, if they had the substance for it could have been 2.5 hours. But then the very ending of it, they're in the present. And then it's basically over at that point because, as we saw, there's not a lot interesting to tell us in the present.
Some superhero Star Trek shit.
Yeah.
Where you almost have okay, so like you say that, like some superhero Star Trek shit, right? Like they're learning, and like you're saying, they learn a couple like different lessons with a different time period, right? And again, doesn't that sound like it would lend itself better to a Disney Plus series than a movie? Because overall, message for each episode.
Overall, that format would work better, but now I don't think anybody would ever really care to see these characters really more. I'm not saying, again, it's like Captain Marvel. It's not that they couldn't make this character more interesting in a subsequent film and write a more compelling story for them then. But based off right now, I can't imagine a lot of people wanting these Eternals Happy Meal toys. That's how you know you've won kids' hearts, is when they want your Happy Meal toy. Right. But they do not want these Happy Meal toys, right? They failed the Happy Meal toy test. Let's see. What heat do I just need? How do I get to... How much heat do I need to... Oh, wait. I still need to clear the level with 1 heat. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Well, like, okay, so like one thing I thought about, right, was skip ahead 30.
One thing the mortals have on us is that they quickly become men. This is the Fury Megara. She shall accelerate the... Cool.
So skip 30-second spoiler.
I like how
skip
dark
ahead
it got
if you don't want to hear it.
Sure.
But Richard Madden's Icarus is a traitor, kills another character, right? Wouldn't that have been cool if that was the first scene in the movie?
We can talk about some of the plot stuff in Eternals. I feel like in the first scene.
Wouldn't that have been more interesting if that had literally been the opening sequence of the movie? Had been him killing her and just like establishing outright this is the bad guy.
So you have a classic sort of Shakespearean dramatic irony going on, and that the audience knows something that the characters doesn't know.
Yes. I think that would have
that would make more sense for sure.
Like a layer of, and that would just be that wouldn't even have been changing something. That would have just been moving something that was there to a different spot. I think would have. So there's an editing issue that I had with the movie. Where sometimes
there's a storytelling issue there too, where I just don't even think it's that interesting. Is this the game?
I mean, they're not going to fuck on screen, dude. You're not going to get like full penetration, as Dennis would say.
Because the character Icarus has never ever been a villain in the comics, and I can't just help but feel like they were just doing evil Superman, kind of.
They were. They said that they based him off of Zack Snyder's take on Superman. They straight up said that. Like that's not even like a theoretical idea. That is literally something they have said in interviews that they purposely looked at Man of Steel.
Which granted, I overall I never thought I'd say this. I like Man of Steel as a superhero movie better, or maybe not even as a superhero movie, but at least as like a sci-fi kind of movie. I like Man of Steel better.
I mean, I always thought Man of Steel was actually kind of good.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought people ragged on that movie a little too hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's going back to our discussions from back like in 2013. But I still stand by what I said then, is that like as a straight up Superman movie, it is clearly not my favorite. But as like a kind of as a weird sci-fi, yes, it is, and as a weird like sort of sci-fi take on Superman, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah. I think it's just maybe like the third act is where like, because that has where so many of the criticisms are all concentrated at the end of the movie. Yeah. And how many people go back and watch a movie that they didn't like.
Right. Oh, no, for sure.
So I think it's the third act of Man of Steel that left a bad taste in people's mouths.
As for a lot of superhero movies.
They forgot about... Yes, true. But then I think it's easy to forget about the really things that actually are done pretty well throughout the first two acts of Man of Steel.
So would you agree that Man of Steel is a better movie than Eternals?
I don't dislike Man of Steel. I know people. Right. I know a lot of people hate that movie.
Yeah.
And I feel I am with the public opinion on like Batman versus Superman and about that, the faults of that movie. But I actually do think Man of Steel was good. I don't think it's great, but I think it is good.
I will stand by Man of Steel as one of Zack Snyder's better movies for sure.
I still think that there are criticisms to be made for sure, but I don't think they're movie ruining criticisms.
Right.
That's all.
And so to go that way with the plot in Eternals is a little cliche to me. It's like, it's not even doing as interesting a thing as Zack Snyder did in his fucking movie. How sad is that to say?
We also had,
there are other people writing it.
Writing the script, but
that's true. But
I don't think most of the good stuff in Man of Steel
I'm guessing this Eternal script also had at least 2 or 3 people,
I'm sure.
if not more, involved in the writing.
It feels like a movie with too many cooks in the kitchen.
For sure.
Right? Like it doesn't feel like there was one person with a it doesn't feel like this singular story that this one person is like, okay, this is what we're telling, right? Because I think I'm not saying that it came through, but I think that the substance that was intended in Eternals was supposed to be a religious kind of struggle, right? It was supposed to mirror a human struggle with faith and religion and God, with how they, deal with their faith. I'm not saying it came through. I'm just saying I do believe that is what they were trying.
Because they picked such superficial ways for us to like the idea of them having lived as humans for so long on Earth and then basically kind of acting like humans. It could be compelling, but how'd they do that? It's like, oh, Cersei looks at her smartphone. That's it. That's it for how she's a human. She looks at a cell phone. My God, what does that say about the rest of us?
Blasted there too.
Oh yeah, I was like getting blasted. But yeah, isn't that like? That's something like CW Arrow would do.
Well, I think she also. I said this criticism before, but I found every other character just even if it wasn't much, at least a little bit more interesting than her. She was by far the worst one to me.
Yeah,
I thought she was like. I was gonna say excruciatingly boring, but like I thought she was the one. Like if you had centered the movie on Kumail Nanjiani had been the lead, or like one of the Angelina Jolie, and that dynamic of them.
Well, and this idea that she's the main character because she loves humanity the most. When in the movie do we see
really
her
express that?
Yeah, when do we see that in the movie?
If anything,
which again, if we saw more of them in the past,
Kumail Nanjiani felt like he loved humanity the most.
Yeah, he did.
Or Barry Keoghan, because he loves them so much that he took their free will away to.
So I have a couple things to say there. Which again, it's weird that you're right about. You're weird about Kumail. You're right about Kumail Nanjiani because. Which is what makes it weird when his character is just like, I'm kind of with Icarus. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like, fuck the humans.
I did think that
why would he have that viewpoint?
Well, I get that because I think the argument of, well, this, either it's the death of this many or the death of this many, and this one is
and he doesn't want to be
went with,
part of that.
Well, let's prevent the. I think him going like, well, it's more important that all these lives are created later than it is that these ones. Yeah, I can see why.
How it came off was that like he was like, I don't really give a fuck about these humans. It's like to me, it made it feel like that one human that was his cameraman, like to be kind of have this friendly relationship with him the whole movie, and then to all of a sudden be like, well. You were just kind of like a pet to me. It was kind of like what Omni-Man in that sense.
See, I can see it now that you're saying it, but in the moment, I just felt like he cared more about the creation of those lives. I got that.
That's how I felt in the moment, was just like that he's completely dismissive towards humanity.
I can understand it, but that's not what I got.
Which made him not a likable character to me also at the end. It was like, I also don't see how these characters are good, superheroes. Not that the movie really positioned them as that, but I'm just saying, like, for being superhero characters.
Right.
It's like
I genuinely didn't feel that. I mean, I can see why. But
that's why I got out of
my
it. And then
was
Barry
he
Keoghan
cared more. He just genuinely cared, but he cared more about the other lives that it would have prevented.
Yeah, that didn't even come across to me. But and then like what was
it did for me. Again, I'm not disagreeing. Like you felt the way you felt, but it did. I don't know why it came through to me, but
I mean, I bet you're right that that's what they were trying to get across, and what they were trying to make come through. But what came through to me was him just being completely flippant. And then what's Barry Keoghan's character's name again? I'm just going to call him Barry Keoghan.
Yeah, I just go with the actor's name.
Yeah. Which is also that's also a telltale sign of a movie that has not done its job. It's selling you these characters
when you don't care
enough about these. But
but like, how many people do you talk to that don't remember any names for anything? I mean, like, I know I do.
But we're super big nerds that are super big fans of this stuff.
I've been able to remember that name every other time I know. About it.
I'm just saying it's a telltale sign that we gave it enough time passed that like we did not care about these characters enough to remember who they were.
That is true.
But Barry Keoghan, to me, that's a more interesting choice for him as the villain. To me, that's interesting if
or the protagonists. Or just
from his point of view, even like have a layered dimensional film where he's like the one that's removed for so much of the movie, not like Angelina Jolie's character I mean they could have had that too, but my point is that like to have Barry Keoghan be the one who's, and it's interesting on the superhero series on Netflix that I watched the whole season of, and I haven't ever read the comic for. It's Mark Millar, and it's got a name that would make you not want to watch it because it's close. It's close to Jupiter Ascending, which makes you think of that terrible movie. But I heard that was terrible. I liked it.
Really? Okay. I double toasted dragged on it so hard I thought they were going to give it a fuck you at the end of their review.
Which is funny because for half the review, Corey is super praising all the past part because it's like Eternals in a way where all the flashback scenes are great, and to me a lot of the present day scenes work too.
Okay.
And
interesting. I mean, I'll be honest. I did see it a little bit of footage, and I did make a judgment on it.
Sure.
On the costuming and stuff, being like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, TV budget action-wise, in some moments, it's pulling it off better than
I mean, I haven't watched it. I cannot give my opinion on it. I don't have.
It's pulling off a little better than Disney's Hawkeye as far as like some of the action aspects go. Okay. But I liked it a hell of a lot better than Eternals.
Like I said, I don't have an opinion on it. I have not actually watched it. I'm only like, this is what I heard about from other people.
Right. But all I was saying is that I think Jupiter's Legacy is what it's called.
Yeah, because they got canceled too, didn't it?
I believe so.
Lack of kind of critical reception.
Yeah, and I heard it was kind of expensive for them. But it did a lot of things right that Eternals did wrong. Like there's a lot of emphasis on the past, but they have long invested story arcs taking place in the past. Right. It's not little glance snapshots of the past.
Series.
Well, again, it did do that well.
Again, I think Eternals really should have been a show.
It's like
the format of the story they wanted to tell just makes more sense if it was a show.
But a little spoiler for Jupiter's Legacy is the villain, well, I guess it kind of turns out to be the main villain at the end of the series, is like the main superhero's kind of brother who is also
even kind of a similar
who is also a superhero, and his whole thing is he's basically like the Martian Manhunter of the team.
Okay.
He's got the mind powers of the team, like kind of the Barry Keoghan character, and he is revealed to be the villain at the end, and so it did do that. Even Jupiter's Legacy. So there are a lot of examples of things that have done parts of the story in Eternals far better, I think.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, even, I mean, this is just a thought that's popping into my head now, because we always do this, right? Mm-hmm. We always are like, well, this idea.
Yeah, right, exactly.
it would have been kind of interesting if the Eternals in present day had been like living in that village under his enslavement this whole time, and that's why they had never interfered with anything.
Right.
And maybe even the rest of the Eternals succumbed to his mind. He actually had all of them locked down this whole time.
That was part of my plot idea.
Cool.
Part of my story fixing idea was that if you have Barry Keoghan kind of ultimately as the villain, but ultimately even he kind of somewhat reforms in a way, because I like him having these somewhat noble shades like he did in the movie. But I would have him. I would still have the Icarus twist in there, but I wouldn't have that be the main twist. I don't know if the other Eternals.
If it was the beginning of the movie and you just knew it the whole time, and it was, I think it was a mistake to treat it as a twist.
But here's the thing: if you treat it. You make the audience, you do what the kind of the movie did, you make the audience think that's the main twist, but then really, it is Barry Keoghan mind controlling him to have killed, and I would have had him mind control him to actually straight up kill Salma Hayek's character. Have him straight up kill her himself.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
It's revealed that Icarus really is that kind of noble-hearted Superman type character.
And
so it actually tears him apart inside. Once his consciousness returns to him, he's like, "Oh my God!" It finally all comes back to him.
You're just getting it there too.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to do both.
Yeah. Well, I'm just more into talking about
about
the stuff right now.
At this point, we've beaten the game so many times.
Yeah.
That,
it's just those little story parts we're trying to get to at this point.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that would have all these little things we always say would just have been so much more dramatically compelling. And
I always believe I can make a better movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the heart. Of course, it's always the easiest thing in the world to say these things after the fact, because
I also think that it's probably important to note that there is absolutely a possibility that all the footage that they shot and didn't use had that more interesting story, had what they were going for in it, and when they put it all together in the editing room, they kept some of the wrong parts in. And left out some of the right parts.
Yeah.
I think that happens with a lot of movies. I think that just happens with a lot of movies in general.
Yeah.
Some of these bad superhero movies. Sometimes, you hear about, stuff that they filmed but didn't end up in the movie, and I'm like, oh shit, that would have been way better. So, I don't know, maybe not, but I also do think that's a possibility.
I do think it had to be a weak script from the start for it to have so little of substance in, fucking any dialogue that I cared about, characters that I cared about, plot that I cared about.
I'd be really interested for you and Nadia to have a conversation about it, because she loved it.
She loved it?
She loved it.
Wow, all right.
I was very middle of the road. I enjoyed some of it. I had a lot of criticism.
Ultimately,
she was very into it.
Just as a film, I'm closer to you. It's okay. Could they have done better?
I don't disagree with any of your criticisms either.
Right.
Despite the fact that I did enjoy it more than you, I don't disagree with any of them.
I do have some more crushing things to say though.
More spoiler heavy.
No, just more critical. As a Jack Kirby adaptation, it is a crushing failure to me. It does not capture any of the imagination or the sheer wow, awe, wonder, creativity that any just a panel of a Jack Kirby comic brings you instantly when you that Scooby-Doo Kiss cartoon. The second they start,
that was all. Well, that's a high bar. That's a high bar. The highest bar anyone has set. That was better than the Doctor Strange movie. That was better than that was better than Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah,
that Scooby-Doo meets Kiss movie is
that's straight to DVD. Scooby-Doo animated meets Kiss, where they start tripping or whatever's going on there, and that's
the greatest Jack Kirby adaptation of all time,
because they're seeing this cosmic crazy shit that's colorful as fuck. after Thor Ragnarok, which is like the apex of,
For
of
the
color.
Marvel movies, that's the best Jack Kirby thing so far.
It's the apex of color in these movies. And Jack Kirby fucking art is colorful like a motherfucker. And so I think the cinematography, the choice of cinematography is a failure in Eternals.
I think the cinematography is good, but I totally understand what you're saying when you...
Yeah.
Like I think it's good, it looks good, but the decision to do it that way, right? Is that what you mean? Like the choice in the first place to ground it...
Like, again, it works for Man of Steel, but
to ground it realistically like that's what you're saying, is that to even go there to begin with is
to go the DCEU desaturated, muted, colorless.
I did think Airship looked really cool. I think
he looked cool, but even then,
I thought that was exactly what I would want that to look like.
I would either light it differently, or I would like yes, the character design is cool, even though
he didn't do a lot.
He didn't do a lot, but I'm just saying, like, you know, again, when you see like a Celestial in Jack Kirby comics, or you see some fourth world shit in a Jack Kirby comic, your mind is blown.
Right, because it's so crazy.
Or it's just so cool, it's so never been seen before. And of course, he did this stuff in the 70s and the 80s. Of course, comic book fans are familiar with these visuals.
But you're never going to be able to do it for the first time again.
Of course, but if you were going to do Jack Kirby justice, you find a way to get the same sense of in the first Jurassic Park. You're seeing a dinosaur for the first time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's Jack Kirby.
And Guardians and Thor both Guardians movies and Thor Ragnarok.
Those have greater moments of like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like in terms of that color and that kind of visual presentation. I mean, I think
you're right, Ulysses. You are actually right.
I totally agree. Because like here's that's the thing that I think, and I'm not, it's not that I agree with the decision, right? I think what you're
the
saying
decisions are wrong.
Yeah, that's what that they wanted to go and ground it and make it this because they wanted to take the space gods and then make them as human and grounded as they could, whereas what they should have done is make them feel like as much like crazy space gods as they can.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the big difference.
You know, like Ulysses, you're always on to something, and
possibly on something. Possibly always on something.
He's right.
No, he is right.
And maybe an ideal version of kind of what they did with this Eternals movie is you show these characters in their completely human lives. Right. You show the Eternals.
Possibly.
You show the Eternals like having a family, you show the Eternals being teachers at a college, whatever, and then
like 5
and maybe like Barry Keoghan has somewhat like wiped their memory or something. So maybe he's the one who's far off, they
think they're living as human.
They think they are human. He's the one far off who's still acting like an Eternal and basically plotting to kind of control. Like he's controlling Icarus. Maybe he's still like homosexual.
Like you have Icarus waking them up throughout the movie, only for him to seem like he's the bad guy, only for them to realize he's just being controlled.
And but there are times where they basically it's like they're on something. They have like fever dreams, or where they see this celestial cosmic, the universe open up. They're in these crazy Jack Kirby costumes.
At first.
They're even maybe, I don't know, just for the sake of cool visuals, fighting a celestial. It's like it's just destroying planets and shit. You just see this and then they wake up
into the galaxy. You do see the one I believe it's supposed to be Isan the Searcher. And when the Collector's explaining what the Infinity Stones
exactly.
are,
Something like
Isan the Searcher destroying that planet.
That was one of those.
Part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you see these humans like having either these dreams or these like weird hallucinatory daydream moments where they just see the craziest shit imaginable.
Right.
That would be truer to the spirit of Jack Kirby.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, though, just one thing, and we can switch back or whatever, but can I tell you one reason why I think that I do see the potential in the return of the characters?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because of the way that they ended it and the kind of where everything was when they ended it.
Yeah.
That it does seem like if they do a sequel, well, one, they'll hear the criticism because it seems like most people are saying
are divided on it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, most of the criticism is kind of centered around a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about, right? Like Martin said some of the same things, right? Like I think he said, he's like, I don't even planning on seeing it anytime soon. Chris was like, I don't see it when I see it, but he's like, I don't even care.
I mean, well, that's another thing. It's like the first MCU movie that I had very little interest or care about. I just happened to be like, all right, go out and see a movie. Right. Why not?
Almost like to get it out of the way.
Yeah, you should not feel that way about an MCU movie.
I agree with that for sure. But I will say, if the big problem with this first movie is you guys spent all your time on Earth and you took these crazy space gods and you put them in these boring human settings and didn't do enough crazy space god stuff. I will say that because they do they tend to listen to these criticisms and then at least do their best to course correct in the future.
Sure.
I do think at the very least if they did a sequel or even just, I think, have the characters pop up as supporting roles in a different character.
That would be ideal for me. Small doses of the Eternals for me.
But even if they did a full-on sequel, because of the way it ended, a sequel would necessitate that they spent all their time in space this time. So that is the one argument that I think I can make that, to almost as an antidote for this is what you didn't like about the first one. Well, then we're gonna make a second one that is the entire opposite, right? That. This is why this didn't work. All right, well, let's do a whole movie that is literally all of that.
Yeah. If they do it, that is just all.
That's my idea. I don't know if that's their idea. That's just my idea.
If they just do all crazy cosmic stuff the next movie, they could pull it off.
Or again, maybe there's never another Eternals movie, but these characters pop up from time to time. Not even all together. Just one of them pops up randomly in another movie every once in a while.
That I would prefer.
That could also totally be what they do. I don't know.
Because it's like. Isn't it funny that by the end of Eternals you have one of, I suppose, the biggest stake setting up moments in all the MCU besides Thanos' snap of this celestial being
just
saying in the earth, in the atmosphere, and saying I'm going to come back and maybe destroy the earth. And isn't it weird or funny how you don't give a shit about that, the possibility of that, the stakes are almost non-existent in that threat,
Yeah.
Which is weird, after doing it so well, cosmic stakes with the Thanos snap. How
I don't know. I kind of felt it a little bit. If maybe not because of anything they did in Eternals, but and so that's still a criticism of this movie.
Yeah.
But to be honest, maybe it's because the first Guardians movie sold me on what a Celestial is capable of, and carrying that in made me go, if he comes back, he's going to do it.
I forgot I was going to say that when you brought up Guardians before. I was going to say
that might be influencing that, but I did feel the stakes a bit there.
I was going to say.
But I think it's because of Guardians, not because of Eternals.
When you brought up Guardians the first time, that's an awe-inspiring Jack Kirby moment. The first moment they fly into the head of the Celestial of nowhere. When that shot of them flying into that, to me...
here's a question.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, finish your thought.
Well, all I was going to say is just that is a Jack Kirby moment that is cool. That's some cool cosmic, crazy space shit.
Here's something that I was actually genuinely kind of upset we didn't see. Was ever since they announced the Eternals, right? I've kind of been under the impression that maybe in the beginning, maybe a flashback, but at some point we were going to see two Celestials fight, and one of them get their fucking head cut off, and we were going to see the origin of Nowhere.
Yeah, you think the Earth would have degenerated into a militaristic police state, permanently paranoid of anyone or anything cosmic or soup?
Or
like,
superhuman after what happened in all the Avengers movies. Yeah, I mean,
although
you can say that about the comics too, and the comics don't do that either. So
I mean, sometimes they do comics.
Well,
they story arcs
Civil
like that.
War, I guess, is that, but to a degree.
After Endgame, they literally saved the entire universe, these humans from Earth.
Well, that's why I think Hawkeye is so good, because they lowered the stakes.
Yeah,
right. That's why Hawkeye works, because they lowered the stakes so much.
Well, and to Ulysses, to your point, in the Hawkeye series, they show Hawkeye other humans, that he's a celebrity. They're thanking him all the time.
A dude comes up and pees immediately next to him at the urinal and is asks for his autograph while they're both peeing, and Hawkeye just looks at him and dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that part I would not be cool with, but
no, it's but it was funny in the moment, because Jesus Christ, the fact that he has to deal with that.
Well, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of heroes. They went the other way, where people are loving superheroes right now.
There's even a Broadway musical. Which, that was something I was going to bring up when we were talking about the Hawkeye earlier, just a real quick aside from the Turtles. Is that, did you notice when Hawkeye and his family are at the Broadway show, of the Avengers Broadway show, that one of the dudes on stage was Adam Pascal from Rent? One of the guys on stage was Roger from Rent. Adam Pascal
he was the cool musician rocker dude, right?
No. He was wearing a suit and tie.
No. In Rent, he played. Roger the musician guitarist? That's right.
And he's the guy with the suit and tie. And I mean, I didn't recognize him at first because he's a lot older. He's got all gray hair, and it's also very short too. He's got very short hair.
Right.
But that was that was the thing I wanted to talk about Hawkeye. I don't know if you noticed that. But,
I did not know.
Oh yeah, I'll screen grab it and send you a picture or something after you leave, since I know you'll only be leaving before we.
Yeah, that's true. I will, unfortunately, but so those are my more heavy criticisms of Eternals, because I for the most part I was going easy on it when I was talking to you, and for the most part, but as an adaptation, it sucks.
No, I can
sucks as an adaptation.
I can agree with that. Yeah. As an adaptation of that crazy Jack Kirby. Well, and that's again, it's a thing where it's this choice to ground it in. If there was ever going to be it's funny actually, because one of the big selling points of the Eternals, right, is that the cinematography is way better than most of their other movies, because they shot almost everything on location instead of using green screens or CGI.
It's all their choices are exactly the opposite of the ones I would make.
That's what I'm saying, right? If there's any movie that should kind of be all green screen.
Right.
You would think one that's about these space gods would be all. You'd think that would be all green screen, right? You'd think that would be all green screen.
Right.
I would think.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Because all that crazy shit's going to need CGI to make to work.
I would, yes, the kind of CGI little, just kind of mind-blowing technology of their use of CGI with, Thanos' face, or, the really good CGI that they've, sometimes it almost seems like they've pioneered, or they've
Sometimes the green screen is a little noticeable in Shang-Chi, though. It almost.
Well, I was gonna say, it's funny to me in Shang-Chi and in Eternals, the CGI kind of sucks at
Black
parts.
Widow. Black Widow was worse. Black Widow was
Yeah.
worse than Shang-Chi or Eternals for that,
sure,
the effects being noticeable. But Black Widow, you really saw the fucking.
It is weird. After Endgame, you'd think they would.
They had extra time to work on the effects too.
You'd think they would be.
These movies got finished a while ago, and they were just kind of sitting on a shelf, waiting to be released.
Was
TV. Yeah, it kind of was, dude. It kind of was.
I have no idea how.
They would have, if they had that extra time, that they would have gone in, since we can't put these movies out yet because of COVID, let's go back and just do another pass on those effects.
You're exactly right. They've had nothing but animators and people that can work remotely, able to work on these movies forever now. Right. You're right. Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's one thing if the movie, if everything was totally normal and the movies are like, you know, it needs to be done by this deadline, this is when it's coming out in theaters. Right. That'd be one thing, but that wasn't happening. No. There was no deadline. No. They didn't need, the movies didn't, like, they had, I mean, maybe there was a deadline before, but then they had all this extra time to kind of, it's funny, because, like, I feel like the CG in the TV shows is almost less noticeable.
In Loki, the CGI was really good.
Yeah, the CGI was great in Loki.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a little noticeable at times in WandaVision, but I think for the most part it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I just think I think they dropped the ball pretty massively in Eternals in some ways, and it does sadden me as a fan of the Marvel,
at least of the art.
Well, yes, and of the Marvel movies specifically right now, because I mean, you guys, they do need to step it up in the movies. I
don't disagree, but I see the thing is we talk about this a few times, right? We're talking about the. You know, the consistency of the quality, right?
Yeah.
And how that will be off-putting right after a certain number of movies.
Yeah.
I guess for me, the reason I keep being on the other side of that argument is because I am, in my mind, there is just no distinction between the shows and the movies, so I'm thinking of them as one thing, and I'm like, well, I've loved like 80% of what has come out this year, and right. So, but I think you're coming from a perspective of like really looking at the movies as movies and the shows as shows. And
I'm thinking of the MCU, and I'm thinking of the movies in the MCU. They have sucked a little bit right now, and
I'm not disagreeing with that, but like it's a matter of like there's so many, you know, the consistency.
Yeah.
That consistency argument, I think, if you're thinking about all of it that's come out all at once, I think more of it's been consistent than not. If you're including the shows, but we're just talking about the movies. I just think it's a slightly different conversation.
But I think to also, if you're going to look at like consistency for the MCU, it's something.
Well, I just remember having this conversation after Thor: Dark World came out, and we were like, man, that's like 2 shitty movies in a row. Like, can they? After the first Avengers was so good, man, I don't know if they could really do anything else. I know we had that conversation then. That's all I'm saying, you know.
Well, okay, but to a more recent point, like as far as
stuck in a row, that's all I'm saying.
As far as consistency goes, you made a point just a little bit ago. It's like if this is the same world as Shang-Chi, why isn't like the action better in Hawkeye?
Or at least the same.
There is, no matter what, some compartmentalizing of the shows as shows and the movies as movies, because if you are going to
it feels a little more like the comics in that sense, where more of the comics kind of stand alone from each other a little bit. Like, there's a continuous universe, but there is a little bit more separation of them. Like, you pick up a book, and, you know, if it's good, it's not going to require you to read every other book coming out at that time, you know? Whereas, like, the MCU's, almost the selling point of it has been you keep up with it, and that's what's rewarding about it. Even Thor: Dark World, that's part of why Endgame was impressive, because it's like, wow, if you kept up with it, they made even the shitty ones kind of matter. But if the idea is that more things are going to have less significance to each other, and there's going to be more divergent pathways where like you could just watch one of these things and not the other ones, that's a criticism of the whole MCU going forward.
Well,
because that's what
I'm so irked that I have to leave in like 5 minutes because
this is actually an interesting conversation.
Yeah, because I did have like some points to make about the larger MCU right now.
Well, here, you got like 5 minutes. You go. I'm not.
Sure, but it's just like I said, I don't even know if I'll have time to get through or to say everything I'm thinking about right now about this.
Maybe you just get some of it out.
But it's just like
no, you go.
To me, what's really worked about the MCU and in a comic book universes, which is what people what they may not know that they like about the MCU, but that kind of the unseen strength of it then is it is bringing the quality of a comic book universe to a movie universe where it is these coming together of characters that are tonally distinct superheroes.
Right.
Like you pick up a Batman comic. Batman is dark, gritty, and gothic.
Right.
You pick up a Superman comic. It's usually always in the daylight. It's bright. It's colorful. It's happy. It's hopeful. It's optimistic. And then it's like, what are these two people like when they meet, and how do they clash? What friction is there? And that's always been the case in DC and Marvel comics. It's Spider-Man is going to have a certain opinion about something. Daredevil's going to have a certain... And that's why you get events like Civil War, why I consider Civil War to be a somewhat successful story moment or arc within...
In both the movies and the comics, honestly.
Because it is distinct. The characters are fleshed out enough that you know who they are, you know what they stand for, and you have a sense, and it's compelling when they finally meet each other and have to interface with each other, and you know the ensuing dramatic conflicts that come out of that.
Right.
However, with these movies that are setting up the new faces, the new characters that are supposed to be interacting with each other in future movies, I don't know these characters. I don't know these, like, that to me is the biggest failure of, like,
that was half the fun of it. But yeah, no, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
You're exactly right. And it's like, Shang-Chi, I don't really know. I mean, I get that he's, like, a likable, nice guy. What's his, like, deal? What's his drama? What's his... I mean, his father's a supervillain.
It was kind of a show don't tell criticism. Like, they told you what his driving factor motivation was, but they didn't show it to you so much.
Right.
Like, there's, like, with Shang-Chi, I feel like there's a sense of what he is, but we didn't get to know him well enough.
Right.
I think. Whereas with, like,
and then with Eternals, who the fuck are these people?
I get that. I felt like I had a really good... I did genuinely feel like I had a really good understanding of Barry Keoghan's character. And... you seen him, you heard it. Nice callback. And I kind of felt that way about the Angelina Jolie and Gilgamesh characters. But again, that wasn't the focus.
But they're also kind of dead by the, you know.
She's not.
Right. Right. She's still around. Yeah, that's true.
Again, little minor spoilers, but like the fact that they were made in this like forge and like they have backups of their consciousnesses, don't you think that none of them are actually dead then? Doesn't that actually kind of remove some stakes?
It makes them more meaningless as characters.
Well, like,
true.
That kind of, like, that's the thought I had during the movie was like, if they have like backups of their consciousnesses, they're kind of basically robots. So like,
right, which is also not really something from the comics.
No, that's also not from the comics.
They aren't robots.
No.
So, yeah, and then fucking like Black Widow, I thought I kind of had a handle on her character.
I think we know her too well, because then there wasn't room to do any like character development.
Well, it's just like in that movie, that character even felt like a little different than how I'd really come to know her in all these movies. It's like
to me, it felt like
not even consistent
Johansson instead of Black Widow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it felt like she didn't want to be there.
Well, that's true. Like the only new character I could say is that, like, again, just looking at the movies, is that, like, Yelena Barlova.
I liked her.
We get a little, just enough of a sense to kind of have a sense of her personality. Right.
And I'm excited to see how they hopefully handle her better overall there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, she's like the only new character in these movies that we have just enough. I mean, and it's barely enough, but just enough of a sense of her personality.
Actress, not the script.
Yes,
that's the actress, not the script.
Like her kind of how she feels about her place in the world. We have just enough of a sense of that it will be meaningful and matter when she interacts with other different characters. Sure. But if they don't start fucking fleshing out the personalities of these new fucking characters in these movies when they fucking show up.
Well, do you think that like these do you think that there is something that like some sort of curse around like this particular kind of character type? with
Now,
the
which
Eternals.
the Eternals, okay.
Because the Eternals, the Inhumans. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
no,
is there something going on there?
Well,
like,
the curse of shitty writing for sure is one.
well,
but
like, is it just like, what is it about that kind of like these weird like? I don't know. What is it about
the Inhumans work because the X-Men work.
Right.
We already have proof of concept for the Inhumans.
Should bring back Old Man Carnage. No,
Old Man Carnage. They do have the Old Man Logan storylines. Why not Old Man Karnak?
Oh God.
You know Ulysses is right about that.
Yeah.
See, he agreed with you, Ulysses. He wants to see Old Man Karnak.
I don't want to see it. No, I don't. It would not be my pleasure to see Old Man Carnage.
However, there is not much proof of concept for a team or a concept like the Eternals.
Yeah.
Because in the same way there have not been that many good Greek mythology movies is because the gods.
Because that's what I see the Eternals as.
They're like
them
Greek.
As a
Yeah, I saw them
film.
as a pantheon.
Yeah, they're a
of
pantheon,
characters.
and it's like it's almost like there's something about pantheons
All right.
that is. Yeah, no worries.
No.
I got you. But there is something weird about like pantheons, right? And like that seat for some reason it's like that never outside
It's
of like
tricky.
animation I've seen it work, but like
It's tricky, but
I don't know what it
ultimately
is.
they should be easy.
they should be.
Because it's a family drama. That's basically
Right,
what it is.
well,
Like this.
Also, Fantastic
But
Four is yet to work,
Yeah, exactly.
which is also all about the
because
family
they don't
drama.
understand family. Because in the Western world, we've only focused on individualism, not collectivism, and the Western,
The best movie ever made.
Shut the fuck up. All right. On that note, I've got to go.
right.
Thank you for that, Ulysses. Bye.
I
Sid.
will attempt to finish this run and
yeah,
beat
if-
Hades again. We'll see if it happens, but
Do what you want for. Bye, people. I
Michael,
will be,
thank you as always.
Yeah, for sure, man.
being an
I
awesome
will be
co-host.
back next
Tuesday, for
Tuesday.
sure.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
We should be working on a normal schedule at least for the next couple of weeks,
Sweet.
I think.
Is it okay if you finally leave that?
Yeah, dude, I'll throw that. I don't care. Yeah, you're fine.
All right. I think that's everything. Okay. Let's see. Hello.
That's the one that likes to sneak out too. So
Oh. Well.
Careful of her.
I don't know if I should open the door.
I mean, no, you'll have unless she's like right next to it, you're fine.
All right.
But she just sometimes will huddle up against it and wait for you.
See ya. Bye, kitty. Don't leave.
All right. Have a good night. Have a good night, Michael. All right, Ulysses. I guess it's just you and me for a little bit here. I'm probably not going to live much longer though, so. But yeah, remember how a snake exploded because it was horny? I do remember that. I do. Oh my god, yeah, no, I remember that stupid ass movie. Which, granted, that would be a really fun movie to do like a almost riff tracks type thing for, and force Alex to sit through it for a channel watch party. Yes, it was. Anubis spun right round, baby, right round, baby, right round. Yeah, Anubis was all over that shit for some reason. I don't know what was going on there. I really don't. I really, really don't. Oh, hey. Oh, it's been good, T-Bone. How you doing? Welcome in. It's been pretty good, pretty solid. Michael actually just left, and I'm about to I'm going to try and get to the boss fight and maybe die, maybe not. We'll see. We're probably wrapping up this stream pretty shortly. But tonight's also the Tuesday evening Alex and Ulysses Gnomes Cannibalism and Politics podcast, or stream, whatever you want to call it. I might be ending this soon, but we'll be back for that. So. Still have a whole solid 3-hour stream still coming up in a little bit. But how are you doing today? Welcome in.
Do I look like I want to talk to you?
And also, we're up to 187 already too. Yeah, I'll still be streaming for just a little bit longer, just to see. Oh, wow. Damn. Well, that's convenient. Alright, well, maybe I actually can make, like, a full run again at Hades. I guess I'm just gonna keep playing and we'll see what happens.
Good enough to eat.
Yeah, 180, only 13 more. We hit that 200. We're getting there. We are really getting there. It's actually pretty, it's mind-blowing to me to be that close already. And today is today the last day of November? Is it just, yeah, today's the last day of November, so, right? Yeah, it should be. You know, I feel like I should, and you know what, maybe not even just a celebratory stream just for the 200 followers, although it would be for that too. But maybe also like just like a, hey, we all survived 2021 thing too. I think that'd be fun. Well, so I actually had an idea for a stream in mind to do sometime in the near future. Which, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Shredder's Revenge, the, like, kind of old-school arcade style, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that's coming out in December. I thought that, if I could get, like, me, Tim, Alex, Ulysses, Michael, you know, maybe Tyler too. Like, just get basically get every co-host, essentially, all in one big stream, and just play like the 4-player Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game for like a while, and all just shit talk together. I thought that if we do a big celebratory stream, I think that might be what I want to try and do. I think that might be the game we would do. Because I think that would be really fun. You could have 4 people playing, you know. I don't know. I think that could be a really entertaining. Granted, I'm gonna need. Well, you know, Tim has a PS5, so I could get him to bring 2 controllers. So we can do the 4-player. Get all the like headsets and stuff. I definitely would need an extra headset or 2. But yeah, I think if we do like a big 200 celebration stream, I think that's what it's gonna be. And we'll see how that plays out, but I would like to make that happen. Oh, and by the way, T-Bone, it's far from a sure thing, but there is a new job I'm kind of looking at, and if I get it, it would be kind of a Monday through Friday thing. So I would be kind of working on more of a 9 to 5 schedule, which means I'd probably, like, me and Michael would 100% be doing our streams on the weekend, every week, like, for sure. And then the schedule would probably have to change a bit, but you know, ultimately, that's kind of what I've been looking for a while out of a job, so. I think it would be for the best. Yeah, like my current job, I was hired on to literally open, it's essentially open a coffee shop at 7 in the morning and like open, and I've basically been working like the 2 to 9 p.m. shift basically at like the entire time I've worked there, and I'm like, it's just literally not what I was told that this was gonna be. So I've been annoyed with my job, and like I think it might change to like being more of like a mid-shift type thing where I'm working like an 11 to 7 p.m., which is better. It's closer to what I want, but like it's still not the same thing, like it's still not the same. It's not what I'm asking for. It's not what I'm looking for. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I am, yeah, I mean, it's kind of through a family member, so it's kind of like if I want it, I can have it. My concern is it's far away, and I'm not willing to spend 4 hours on back and forth every day on public transportation. I'm not willing to do that. So I'm kind of looking at like what the person that I know that works there, or the multiple people actually, like, is this gonna be like, am I like riding with you there each day? Like, how is this working? Because if it's not something like that, I don't know that if I really can do it, So we'll see, but it's going to depend on a few factors for sure. Yep, not that. Ooh, nepotism. Yep. Well, at least I wouldn't be making like millions of dollars, like Hunter Biden.
There it is already. Now back to Cerberus. Could use the rod.
Gotta figure that out, but during the 2-hour trip you can stream. Just like myself on the bus. just like stream me sitting there. Ooh, oh, it got away. I don't know how fun that would that be fun to watch? Like, I don't know.
Maybe this way.
I feel like that wouldn't be the most engaging stream, would it? Might capture some interesting things happening that way. Yes, I don't know. Well, I have a Switch, but I can't actually stream like directly from the Switch because I don't. I mean, the Switch can't stream just from the Switch, can it? Plus there wouldn't be an internet connection anyway, so like. I mean, like, I could stream it from my phone while I'm sitting on the bus. I mean, yeah, you're right, Ulysses. Maybe some crazy shit would happen. Oh, just occasionally show the screen. Sometimes I wish I had video footage of the bus crash. Yeah, that's a fair point. I could see that being worthwhile. I could see that. I could totally. I could see that. No, I mean Ulysses. What Ulysses said is what I could see. Because like, there is some crazy shit on the bus that actually might be worth recording. Sometimes I wish I had got footage of the crazy people. I once saw a woman start yelling at another woman on the bus and screaming about how she stole her soul and she's hiding it under her seat. They are rolling in mental asylums. That's, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, you say that, T-Bone, that you're just kidding, but, like, there's a version of events where that actually makes sense to do, depending on how crazy the bus is on that particular day. Thing is you can't guarantee that you're going to get the right kind of crazy person, though, you know? So. Alright, let's see if I can pull this off.
Left to do. Isn't that so, Father?
To think Olympus has been aiding you. You must be so grateful to them for their aid, without which none of this would have been possible.
Yeah, about...
Oh, shit.
Be grateful
Whoops.
they have not found out
Skip the dialogue.
Meddling. You do not know them as well as you think. Ask yourself why she left Olympus and how. Or better yet, ask her.
Oh, T-Bone. You know, that's, I almost feel like that's too much to type out into the chat. But you know what? If we want to tell some crazy person stories on the 6:30 to 9:30 KOTOR stream tonight, I think that would be, like, I think we could just get into some crazy person stories tonight. That could be part of what the stream is tonight.
Well,
Could be a big conversation topic.
Knowing you probably tricked her into signing a pact to come.
In fact, that's actually a great idea that we should totally focus on.
Have Olympus come to you.
I mean, like, you could probably give, like, Ulysses could probably give you shorthand versions of the crazy people some of the crazy people, but I feel like all those stories are better when you can hear, like, a full dialogue for them. That's just my own opinion, though.
Not distant from the truth. I took her, boy. I took her down with me. Is that what you wish to hear? Does that anger you? Come, bring forth that anger then.
Yeah, the way that Ulysses tells stories, too, is fucking great. God, Dad, you're such a bitch. Oh, shit. I got one of my health bars.
Would be my pleasure.
Whew. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to beat it this time. I don't think this is going to be a successful run. Yeah, the gun is definitely the easiest one, I think, to beat Hades with, for sure. The boxing gloves are pretty fucking cool, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't say I'm as used to using them. I've like only used the gun, I feel like, for a while now, just because it is my favorite. It is genuinely just my favorite. Oh god. Yeah, I'm on my last life, so, and he's still got like a whole full health bar, so some tells me that's probably not going to work out real well. Yep, he got me. I figured. Oh my god. I'm not a fisting expert, Ulysses. No, I'm not. Not a real big fisting person. Well, we'll do the dialogue here, and we'll.
I'm up. Welcome to the House of Hades, where death is our business.
Bye.
Your Highness.
Oh, what's up? What's up, Medusa?
File this report. It's very late.
Okay.
Hold, lad. You've regained access to the administrative chamber, right? I never thought you'd want to go in there again.
I mean, paperwork is the true hell, so.
Oh, believe me, I don't. But I would like to be able to go where I please around here, and confounding father is another benefit.
I don't know what's up with her. I don't know what's up with her. She's very weird. She's cagey. Medusa is very cagey.
It pleases me to say, you may proceed.
Appreciated, sir.
Is there going to be something new in here?
Just checking up on things.
I think it's just to be able to look at your,
Remember, hang in there.
well, like the motivational cat poster bullshit.
Cerberus, father.
I've decided I should give this singing thing another shot for now, my friend. I hope you like it.
I think she'd be a good friend to have on 420. She's always getting people stuff. Hell yeah! Oh, Medusa on 420? Absolutely.
How kind of you.
I would love it if you had like a Medusa head where all of the snakes, and all of her hair snakes, were all smoking different joints.
Such as it is right now.
Prices are a little steep there, I must say. Look at what I caught, chef. Why, thank you.
You know what? When I read this message, I thought, for some reason your messages always have a sexual undertone, but I thought it was just me. Then you wrote the next message. Which one were you referencing? The fisting? Yeah, the fisting reference. Yeah, that was definitely... Yeah, Ulysses is definitely making a sexual reference there. 100%. Urge to sing. Compel Orpheus to say, hey, well, we did that. So we did something.
Okay.
Alright, and that is a wonderful stopping point. So, if, you wanna... Yeah, if I honestly think Ulysses and T-Bone, you are the only two here right now. So, you know when the next stream will be. For now, I don't know, let's throw a raid somebody's way just for the hell of it. I know we don't got a lot of people in here, but let's do it anyway. We got somebody that we can... Oh, hey. Yay. Somebody we haven't gotten to raid in quite a while. Alright. Yeah, well, Ulysses, I'll see you shortly. T-Bone, we'll, see you in, like, barely an hour, basically. Like, about an hour away from now. Alright. And we go. Did that work? Well, we'll just do it again just to be Oh, it did work. Okay, cool.